Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Meanwhile, Shiwan, who was at the center of the storm, was still quietly filming. After all, she had taken 2 days off, so she had to make up for her own scenes. When she went back at night, Shiwan came out of the shower and saw Hemin crying. "Shiwan, I've let you down." Shiwan frowned. "What's wrong with you now?" Hemin handed the phone to 11 in fear. "That Hanzi, it must be her, it must be her." She wondered why there was no news yesterday. So it was to not block the headlines of her coming to Hangzhou. This woman was too evil. Shiwan didn't offend her. Shiwan took it over and looked at the 24-hour trending Weibo. The headlines were mostly about her. The number one was that gossip entertainment. The number two was that unknown paparazzi. The number four was the summary of news about her from Gozai Entertainment. And the number 10 was 1 week's news. For a moment, Shiwan hugged a thigh and climbed to the top, selling her looks, bad temper, bad character, and other labels were all posted. The netizens did not know the inside story and thought that they were righteous heroes. They started typing furiously and cursing crazily. B*TCH, get out of the entertainment industry. Too slutty. Puke. It's too disgusting, Godshao. Don't be deceived by her pure face. An artist who hasn't even released a work yet, and she's playing the female lead of Records of the Geisha of the Tang Dynasty and the female lead of Askance. Doge, I'll pretend that I don't understand. Vixen, don't mess with our God. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. The entertainment industry can be famous. Hee, just think about it, and you'll know what's going on. I wonder what it's like to have sex with her. TSK, she's so beautiful. When she does it, her expression will definitely make people go crazy. She'll laugh evilly. All in all, the dirty words below were unbearable to look at. Shiwan rubbed the space between her eyebrows. The Tang Dynasty hadn't even slapped their faces yet, and in the blink of an eye, she was going to become a hot topic and be discredited. Moreover, this romance of the heaven was even more popular than the Tang Dynasty. 2 days ago, because Xiao Yinzheng was a fan of hers, she had already been completely flamed by her fans. Now she was fine. When she heard someone say that this was a book that Xiao Yinzheng had specially prepared in order to chase after Jiang Shiwan, her fans' attitude could be imagined. Nowadays, the netizens treated the news of the entertainment industry, especially the negative news, with the attitude of not making any noise and not biting the seamless eggs. Even if it was fake, they would believe it to be true. Even if the celebrities released a notice to clarify, they would also think that the celebrities were fooling the public again. In short, they would pretend to understand the entertainment industry. Hemin felt even more guilty and cried profusely. I will definitely not have a big mouth in the future. She thought that in such a remote corner, the two of them were just talking, but she did not expect. At this moment, Lisa, who was far away in B City, also had a headache. In just a few days, something happened to her artist again. She didn't know who it was that had such a big mouth, but they actually bribed the marketing account to expose the news. Sister Lisa, what should we do? The netizens are all very radical right now. We've already bribed the internet trolls to say nice things about Jiang Shiwan, but it's not going to work. Let's continue. Lisa sighed. Let's wait another day and see. If the netizens are still so radical tomorrow, we'll expose the news that Zhang Zi is in love with the veteran singer Jiang Hai. Okay, she had to divert her attention. If she could protect her own artiste, it was inevitable that she had to sacrifice others. Shiwan scrolled through Weibo with her alternate account. When she saw the netizens pouring dirty water on her, she couldn't help but sigh. It was obviously a lie to say that she didn't mind. But thinking about it, which artiste wouldn't be tarnished the more tarnished they were now, the more popular they would be when they fought their way back with their works. She still quite admired a junior artiste. Previously, she had been tarnished to the point that her body was completely disfigured. Even her body odor had been used to tease and ridicule her. In the end, she used self-mockery to successfully get rid of the netizens' prejudice against her. In private, she had told her industry insiders that as long as they could not kill her, she would appear even more powerful. Thinking of this, her mind had become much more open. She posted a Weibo post. Sunset not too late. The drizzle that lasted for a week had finally stopped. All that could be seen was the dazzling starlight. This was also her state of mind. Even if there were countless dirty waters now, there would come a day when it would stop. She would still be the same dazzling Jiang Shiwan. Ding dong. Madam Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. Your state of mind is really good. You're still scrolling through Weibo, even though you're like this. Sunset not too late replied to Madam Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. Smiling has always been good. Ding dong. Xingji, her. Shiwan was so scared that she dropped her phone on the bed. Was this a message from boss? Also, what did her mean? Should she reply? But when she thought about the incident with Li Yin and B City, hence, Shiwan sent Li Yin a private message. Sunset not too late. That day. What happened after that? Madam Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. What are you talking about that day? Sunset not too late. It was the day that we ruined your brother's blind date banquet. What happened after that? You haven't told me what happened after that. Also, is your brother angry? Was the blind date banquet really ruined by us? I think that woman. Even after the two of us left, she still sat firmly in her seat. Madam Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. Holy shit, you can actually say such a long sentence. Take a screenshot as a memento. When Shiwan saw this paragraph, she was in a bad mood. This fellow, Li Yin, is simply too much. Is this the focus of attention now? Shiwan took a deep breath, drank the boiled water on the bedside table, and typed rapidly on her phone with her fingers. Sunset not too late. Hurry up and tell me. Madam Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. If you say that I'm prettier than you, I'll tell you. Sunset not too late. Hee. Is there any point in lying to yourself? Madam Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. See you when you're in debt. Madam Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. Don't think that I'll tell you. If you have the ability, you can ask my brother. Shiwan. Shiwan decided not to care about this crazy person anymore. She touched her chin and looked at the annoying word Xingji. Hee. She sighed and opened the private message. Shiwan. Boss, are you there? Xingji. Hee. Shiwan. Fall hee again. However, the official level was too much for her. She had no choice but to cover her little heart and continue typing carefully. Shiwan. That boss, that day. Finger. I'm sorry. Xingji, what? Shiwan blinked. Didn't boss understand? It didn't make sense. Wasn't he a top student? Sunset not too late. It was that day that I interrupted boss blind date banquet. I'm really sorry. That I was also entrusted by someone to be loyal. Xingji. Ha. That day you called me Ajahn, quite familiar. Shiwan's face turned red. She could imagine that boss must be speaking to her in a disdainful, and taunting tone. Shiwan covered her eyes. I can't watch anymore. Looking at the string of words filled with sarcasm, Shiwan wanted to pretend that she didn't understand. Reply? She didn't want to humiliate herself. No reply? He was the boss. It was really a dilemma. Biting her lip, Shiwan continued typing. After modifying it for a while, she finally sent a few words over. Sunset, not too late. It's good that you're not angry. As for the words above, ignore it. Ignore it. It was the only way to improve her mental state. After all, 7 or 8 minutes had passed. Maybe the boss had forgotten what he had said before. Time was the best extinguisher. No matter how angry you were, you could come back later. Hee, I'm sure you'll be fine. Then, Shiwan waited for a minute, but there was no new news. 2 minutes, no. 5 minutes, still no. 10 minutes, still no. She spread her hands. Look, the boss was not angry. He must have gone to sleep at this time. The heart that was hanging in the air could finally fall steadily. Ding dong. Shiwan clicked on it. Click. Xingji, who said I'm not angry. Dong. The phone fell on the bed again. Shiwan silently logged out of Weibo. She did not dare to reply again. Just pretend that she did not see it. The next day, the weather was clear. Although the temperature had risen a few degrees, it was still hovering around 8 or 9 degrees. The members of the crew were getting used to the weather here. When Shiwan arrived at the dressing room, Xiao Tsong was eating breakfast. Behind him, a few stylists were busy putting on makeup. Shiwan made a gesture and sat at her seat, waiting for Zhou Dong to come over and put on makeup for her. Zhou Dong still had the same attitude that hadn't changed in 100 years. He came over with a makeup bag. "Good morning, Shiwan." "Good morning, Zhou Dong." Zhou Dong looked at Shiwan, then pinched her face. "Didn't you sleep well last night? Look at your skin. It's not as fresh as the day before yesterday." Xiao Tsong couldn't help but turn to look at Shiwan when he heard that. Seeing that her skin was still ruddy and watery, he couldn't help but open his mouth. "Isn't her skin still as smooth as a peach blossom?" Zhou Dong chuckled. "As a senior makeup teacher, if my eyesight is as good as yours, I might as well go home and sell pancakes and fruits." Xiao Tsong. Shiwan indeed didn't sleep well last night. All she could think about was going back to the company's annual meeting. What would she do if she ran into an angry boss? Teacher Zhou Dong started lecturing again. "Women, appearance is the most important thing. Don't think that just because you look so good, you can treat your skin as you please. This is not allowed. Women should learn to take good care of themselves. Look at me." As he spoke, he showed off his fair skin. He patted it twice. "Look, it's full of elasticity and collagen. When I go out, everyone thinks that I'm a 27 or 28-year-old young man. If I don't tell them, who would know that I'm 36 this year?" Shiwan grinned. "That's right. Don't put one ear in and one ear out for me. Although you're only 21 now, you're not far from 25. Do you really think that hyaluronic acid and Botox can be injected into your face? Be careful. It won't affect your muscles, and you won't be able to act. Of course, if you don't want to be the best actress and only want to be a flower vase, then I won't say much. I've learned my lesson. That's more like it." Zhou Dong saw that Shiwan was obedient and couldn't help but feel satisfied. Then, he quickly dressed 11-1 up. After putting on makeup, he looked at Shiwan, who was looking at her, and couldn't help but nod repeatedly. Perfect. Her entire face was a golden ratio. Every facial feature was beautiful to the point of perfection. Just by putting on makeup casually, she was a beauty that people could not take their eyes off. Her acting skills were good, and her personality was good. He really did not know who he had offended. Huge buckets of dirty water were thrown at her on the internet. Thinking of this, Zhou Dong explained, "Work hard. When the show is released, those who scold you more fiercely now will also have their faces swollen higher in the future." Shiwan nodded. "I know." In the afternoon, Shiwan had lunch with everyone. It was a simple dish: preserved chicken drumsticks, stir-fried cashews with celery, braised potato chips, and stir-fried bean sprouts. As they were eating, one of the extras in the crowd suddenly shouted, "Oh my God, my goddess is sleeping with a scumbag." "Who's your goddess?" "It's Zhang Zi. She's actually sleeping with Jiang Hai. Damn, why is the heavens treating me so cruelly? I came to the entertainment industry for her." "What's going on?" "Oh, a picture of her and Jiang Hai getting a room was taken. It's all over the internet now. Oh my God, why is she abusing herself like this? No matter what, she's still an unmarried lady. Why can't she just let it go and get together with an unfaithful scumbag who's been divorced 3 times? More importantly, he's so ugly." Jiang Hai was a well-known scumbag in the entertainment industry. He was divorced, and had played with countless women. Although his 3 ex-wives didn't leave him with any children, a man like him who treated marriage as child's play was simply disgusting. Hence, the entire set was talking about this incident. Heemin was so happy. She pointed at the Weibo headlines and said, Shiwan, your popularity has finally gone down. Those netizens have all gone down to Jiang Hai and Zhang Zi's Weibo today." Shiwan looked at the headlines. They were basically all about Jiang Hai's love history. Jiang Hai's 3 ex-wives were denouncing him at the same time, Zhang Zi's love history, and so on. No one gave her any blessings. Shiwan could not help but be stunned for a moment before saying, "Oh." Heemin patted her small chest. "This news is really timely. Now everyone has forgotten about you. In a few days, the storm will also be over with the matter of you acting as Yao Guang." Shiwan nodded and continued eating the bean sprouts. Guyi walked over to Shiwan. When he saw that the food in Shiwan's bowl was almost gone, he smiled and said, "Your appetite is good." "Director Gu, how many times have I said it? Just call me Guyi." Guyi sighed. It was awkward for him to correct her like this, but if he did not correct her, the two of them would be estranged. So, it was better to be thick-skinned. After all, a wife was more important than being thick-skinned. Shiwan smiled. Gui took his phone and played a clip for Shiwan. It was a clip from the recording of the geisha of the Tang dynasty. The scene was by Shuang and Li Yi reuniting. In the middle, there were scenes of escaping, hiding from the enemy, and outwitting the enemy. Whether it was the background music or the post-editing, they were all very good. He Min, who was watching from behind Shiwan, wiped her tears. Great. This clip is too tear-jerking, especially when Shiwan is crying. It's so sad. Director, is this a trailer? How is that possible? This is a trailer for a promotional film, Gu Yi said. I had people rush it out overnight. It was a little rough, but we were pressed for time, so there was nothing we could do. Shiwan looked at Gu Yi. Gu Yi blinked. We can't let the blind people on the internet say that you're a vase every day. It's an unspoken rule. At 8 p.m., just as everyone was boiling over with excitement about Zhang Zi and Jiang Hai's love affair, the official V of the Tang Dynasty Geisha record posted a promotional video. The official Weibo of the Tang Dynasty Geisha record V. 1,000 years of love unbroken, a sudden dream, into the scene and into the heart. A drizzle, a breeze, whose shao sounds the flowers, sing a dance. Chong in street in Chong in city. You and I hold hands until our hair turns white. Video link. Accompanied by the imposing golden spear and iron horse, the first promotional clip of the geisha records of the Tang Dynasty was shocked. The red reed curtain was slowly pulled open. Accompanied by a delicate and melodious tune, a young girl in a green coat appeared on the screen. Her big black and white eyes and cherry petal-like red lips only sang half a sentence. In the blink of an eye, she switched to galloping on the horse. Her gray long gown galloped on the horse. Her delicate little face was gray, but it could not stop the oncoming onslaught. Her intelligent eyes were filled with anxiety, nervousness, fear, worry, and determination. She was tenacious. With just one shot, in just a few seconds, different people could taste different emotions, causing everyone's little hearts to beat wildly. The scene changed. In the blink of an eye, the girl saw her lover. She was filled with joy, as if she was relieved of a heavy burden, and then she fainted. There was no trace of affectation in this series of expressions. It was as if she was the person in the movie. The 2-minute trailer was mostly close-up shots of Shiwan. It was a performance of joy, anger, sorrow, and sorrow. It was a shocking performance. The amount of reposts of the promotional video was pitifully small in the last hour. There were several reasons for this. Firstly, the netizens were still immersed in the love war between Zhang Zi and Jiang Hai. Some of them even listed the tour group's travel schedule. The first stop at Zhang Zi, the second stop at Jiang Hai, the third stop at Ningchun, Zhang Zi's ex-boyfriend at Lu Hu, Zhang Zi's ex-fiancée at Li Xiao, Jiang Hai's first wife at Yinfei, Jiang Hai's second wife at Smartly Walking 1111, Jiang Hai's third wife. All in all, it was very busy. Secondly, the fans who had been looking forward to it had lost a lot of fans. After the shooting of Records of the Geisha of the Tang Dynasty had confirmed the actors, many fans of the novel did not accept it, especially the female lead, Jiang Shiwan. Originally, the best candidate in everyone's mind was Sun Wanyu. After all, she was a newly promoted movie queen. She looked pure and innocent, which was in line with the original image. However, Sun Wanyu was pregnant and had to leave the movie. After all, people had to go through marriage and have children. Everyone settled for the second best. After a long discussion, they finally decided on the two newly promoted actresses, Zhao Ji and Tang Tang. However, who knew that Jiang Shiwan would suddenly appear out of nowhere? She didn't have any background, nor did she come from a specialist background. Instead, she was a newcomer with a lot of dirt flying around just like that. She snatched the female lead spot from Zhao Ji and Tang Tang. No one would believe that there was no shady business. Although her face was really devastatingly beautiful, they didn't want the lively by Shuang in their hearts to be played as a vase. As a result, their expectations for the novel-based movie Records of the Geisha of the Tang Dynasty had lessened. Thirdly, the official Weibo of the geisha of the Tang dynasty had very little activity. There were only occasional pictures of the crew and the actors' activity. There was nothing special about it. Over time, such a situation had formed. Originally, with just one Weibo post, there would be thousands of retweets within 10 minutes. Now, after an hour, there were only around 500 retweets. However, the comments below were surprisingly harmonious. For example, Feifei was not a baboon. Oh my god, is this Jiang Shuan too beautiful, too shocking? I don't know where the money is in my dream. Damn, this is the Bai Shuang of my heart, beautiful, but not demonic, elegant, and refined. ABC is so hard to use. Beautiful cry. I always knew that Jiang Shuan was super beautiful, but I didn't expect her to be so good-looking that I, a woman, was about to turn gay. Moreover, the way she cried made my heart break so much that I also cried. My ex was a Cha V reply. ABC is so hard to use. Same, I feel that her acting is so good. At first, I thought that she was just a vase and wanted to give it up, but later, I became a fan of Shout Song, so I waited and watched. I didn't expect the authorities to give me such a big surprise. I am Guye's old fan, F*CK, who said that the director was shady, who said that Jiang Shuan got the role through unspoken rules. If you stand out now, I promise I won't beat you to death. Only Love Guye replied that I am Guye's old fan. That's right, our Guye's attitude toward movies is a kind of attitude towards art. He is very serious, or else he wouldn't have delayed the start of the movie for so long because he couldn't find a suitable actress, so those sour fans, stop whining. Your master wasn't selected because she wasn't capable enough. HMPH God is tired of those unspoken rules in the future when your master is selected by other production teams. Can we also say that she got the role because the director slept with her? He replied that I was a fan of Guyi. Tong Tong, I'm a performer. Not long after, 2 unexpected people forwarded this Weibo post. Xiao Yinjing V, actor. Like / Jiang Shuan 06V. Smile and thank you for your support / the official Weibo of the geisha of the Tang dynasty V. 1,000 years of love unbroken, a sudden dream, into the scene and into the heart. A drizzle, a gentle breeze, who's the flute to hold the flowers, sing a dance. Chang'an City, Chang'an Street, you and I, hand to hand until our hair turns white. Video link. With this change, the number of reposts of the video exploded exponentially, sweeping the internet. Most people opened the video with a skeptical attitude, and the other repost was, very soon, the promotional video posted by the geisha on the official Weibo of the Tang dynasty reached the 24-hour hot list. Although it didn't take first place, it was still in the top 5. Most of the netizens could see it. Xiao Yinjing's retweet could be said to have added quicklime into the boiling water, causing the comments below to become more and more noisy. Among the hot comments, the one with the most likes was, I'm Guye's stalker, F*CK, who said that the director was shady and that Jiang Shuan got her role through unspoken rules. If you stand out now, I promise I won't beat you to death. There were more than 10,000 likes, obviously. Many netizens felt that they had misunderstood Jiang Shuan back then. However, there were also some netizens who were stubborn. It was just a 2-minute promotional video. What could be seen if you have the ability, then go to the main film? If the main film is good, then I'll be convinced. This Weibo post also had more than 9,000 likes. After that, the higher number of likes was from the performance department student who said that Jiang Shuan's acting was great and didn't seem like a newcomer's comment. Of the comments below the entire Weibo post, 5 out of 10 were more positive. It could be seen that the image of Shi Wan in the hearts of most netizens was still mixed. Of course, there are also those who covered their ears and continue to shout wildly, I won't listen, I won't listen, I won't listen, I won't believe, I won't believe, I won't believe. Jiang Shuan is an unspoken rule. She clings to her thigh and rises to the top. This also accounted for a small portion of the netizens with extremely bad characters. Sky Shadow's public security department saw that Shi Wan's popularity and reputation were showing signs of warming up, so they naturally continued to work hard. They sent those awards honorary titles, and report cards that they had won during their student days to their marketing numbers, asking them to help them fire them. For example, a marketing number that specifically cooperated with Sky Shadow had consecutively posted 9 high-definition beautiful pictures. A top student can still look like this, I a scumbag, don't want to live anymore. Then, the people who had previously slandered Jiang Xuan couldn't help but come back to their senses. That's right, this woman is also a top student. Chinese people had always admired straight-A students, and many netizens were naturally the same. Now that they were mentioned again through their marketing accounts, they naturally nodded and began to repost their praises. The wind changed, and those who were originally slanderers also shut their mouths. Only those experienced slanderers were jumping around happily. After Xiwan finished reposting on Weibo, she received several posts within 2 minutes. Opening it, she saw that they were Zheng Nuo, Sun Huayu, and Qian Mingfei, as well as Zhou Dong, Yang Feng, Li Yin, and Xiao Yinzheng. The number of retweets was great once the big V posted. She replied, "Thank you," one by one. Just as she was about to log out of Weibo, she saw another one. She thought it was a friend who stood up to support her. She opened it and saw Li Zhanvi. Not bad. She won. She didn't dare to go on Weibo because of his angry incident last time. She secretly went on a big Weibo account, and the boss appeared. Xiwan's heart was about to collapse. Reply? No reply. She really wanted to flip the table. In this world, the only person who could make her vomit half to death, and she still didn't dare to yell at him, was Li Zhan. Ding dong. When Xiwan heard this notification sound, her hand trembled in fear and her phone slipped onto the bed. It's over. It must be a message from the boss. She took a deep breath and picked up her phone again. Die early and be reborn early besides. She had already lived for 2 lifetimes. Why would she be afraid of this broken child who was 2 years younger than her? He Min, who had just come out of the shower, looked at Xiwan and couldn't help but say, "Xiwan, your expression is so tragic." Xiwan, He Min trembled for a moment, then did not dare to say anything more and lay down on the bed. Sigh. This time there was such a huge commotion. In the end, it was all her fault. Xiwan had a good temper and did not tell Sister Lisa, or else she might have been fired by Heavenly Shadow. She had decided that in the future, before she spoke, she would think twice before speaking. Xiwan unlocked the screen and clicked on the message. Li Yin, oh, my brother's Weibo, which has been filled with financial information for 10,000 years, actually posted something that has nothing to do with money for the first time. Xiwan heaved a sigh of relief. She was glad that it wasn't a message from the boss, but at the same time, she was sad that it wasn't a message from the boss. She was glad that the death sentence was suspended and that he could live a little longer. She was sad that he didn't come out and give her a clean death sentence, even though she was already prepared to go to the execution ground. Xiwan looked at the message from Li Yin and replied, "I'm also an employee who earns money for him." Li Yin, if you can convince yourself with this reason, then you can convince me. Jiang Xuan. Li Yin V. Speaking of which, did you call my brother? Jiang Xuan 06. Li Yin had already given her the boss's number, and she had saved it a long time ago. However, it seemed that she had never called any of them, not even a message. Li Yin V. I knew it, you were actually joking with me when you signed the agreement. Angry. Jiang Xuan 06. Busy, and I even privately messaged your brother. Li Yin V. Really, my brother actually privately messaged you? Jiang Xuan 06. Oh, didn't you not tell me about the follow-up to the blind date banquet? I apologized to him, but your brother said that he was angry, so you have to settle it for me. Li Yin V. Oh, is angry. I told you that he was angry. He clearly told me that he wasn't angry with me. On the other end of the screen, Li Yin blinked. Just as she was about to reply to Xiwan, my brother also said that he thanked me for saving the emperor in time. She was called by her mother outside the door to drink milk. When Xiwan saw Li Yan's words on the screen, she couldn't help but want to spit out a mouthful of blood. Damn it, you're his sister, of course. He would only look for U.S. little brats to vent his anger. Jiang Xuan 06V. After exiting the private message interface with Li Yin, Xiwan followed Li Zhan's ID number and clicked into the boss's homepage. Under the Weibo that the boss had forwarded, there were actually more than 40 comments. She spread her hands. One had to know that the number of comments and reposts on the boss's Weibo was usually very few. Shiwan opened it and saw that 2 or 3 accounts had sent a thumbs-up emoji. Some of the comments were 4 words, forwarded Weibo. A few others were, F***CK, did Li Zhan get hacked? The usually cold boss actually chose that person to reply. No. Shiwan. Shiwan quietly logged out of her account and pretended that she had never been here. She put down her phone and planned to sleep. In the end, she clicked on her contact list and saw the cold boss on it. She clicked on it. Should she send a text message to apologize? Forget it. If she was rejected, she would really be asking for it. Then, Shiwan put her phone aside, turned sideways, and stretched out her arm. The phone was a little cold, so she moved it to the side. Just as she was about to close her eyes, she heard a beeping sound and thought it was an auditory hallucination. Not long after, a clear and cold voice rang in her ear. Who is it? Shiwan was so scared that she shivered. She opened her eyes and saw that the phone screen beside her was lit up. The screen displayed, cold and aloof boss. In the middle of a call, the air was filled with breathless silence. Shiwan looked at the time, tick-tock, slowly passing by. In her heart, she had already broken down. She was thinking in frustration, why was her hand crippled? Why did she take the initiative to call? Speak. The lights in her room had been turned off, making the entire bedroom exceptionally quiet. Shiwan did not know if Min, who was in the bed next door, had heard the 2 clear and cold words. Shiwan watched as the call lasted from 59 seconds to 1 minute. She did not speak, and the boss did not hang up. Instead, he patiently waited for her to speak. Could it be that he thought it was some important investor? Shiwan had forgotten that when Li Yin had given her this number, it was a private number. At this moment, Shiwan bit her lip and was in a dilemma. Back then, it was always others who called her, and she was so nervous that she couldn't speak. When was it her turn to call others, and she was so nervous that she couldn't speak even when she chatted with the United Nations ambassador back then. She was still generous and spoke with confidence. Unlike now, she was the movie queen, Jiang Shiwan. In an instant, Shiwan regained her confidence and said to the other side of the phone, "It's me." "Who is it?" The courage that 11 Wan had mustered with great difficulty was instantly destroyed by her boss. Jiang Shiwan. "Oh, what's the matter?" "Shiwan, can I say that I accidentally knocked down my hand, but this excuse was too lame. Who would believe in the keyboard era? There is still the possibility of hand mutilation, but in the era of smartphones with lock screens, how could you possibly be able to do that?" Moreover, even if the boss really believed that her hand was crippled, it would probably be a dark history that she would never be able to get rid of. Thinking of the boss' mocking gaze and tone, Shiwan couldn't help but say bye-bye. After that, Shiwan thought for a moment and said, "Yes, I apologize for ruining the boss blind date banquet. I'm sorry. Then, thank you for forwarding my Weibo today." There was a moment of silence on the other side. Shiwan unknowingly started to get nervous again. That was why people who were cold and aloof were the most annoying. Just this. Her palms were so nervous that they were sweating. In the end, the boss only gave her these 3 words. His feeling was really, "Oh, looks like you're quite concerned about my blind date." "Shiwan, can I say no also? Why did it have to be this way, boss? The way you opened it wasn't right." "Oh, you said you were angry last time. No matter what, you're still my boss." This employee offended. "Boss, he's always scared. I'm timid, so I always keep this in mind. It's uncomfortable." "Timid? Hee. Shiwan. Hee again. You can kiss a stranger just because he's a stranger. Timid? I really didn't see it." Shiwan was stunned. Her face was flushed red. Fortunately, the dark night covered her expression and emotions. At this moment, she only felt that her boss had stabbed her ruthlessly, causing her to bleed profusely. She opened her mouth, but she couldn't find any words to refute. Before she could speak again, Li Zhan continued to stab her. "Moreover, since I said that I was still angry last time, do you think that your call now will be of any use?" That ending tone was very pleasant to hear. It was high-pitched and crisp, as if it was blowing into your ear. However, Shiwan felt that the boss had blown a cold breath, and her whole body was frozen. She died in battle. Over. Boss, you are a magnanimous man. Don't lower yourself to the level of a person like me who has never seen the world. Well, it depends on my mood. When will you be in a good mood? When you are not in a good mood. Shiwan, this stab could kill her hundreds of times. I'm going to sleep. Next time you seduce me, remember to find a right time. After saying that, she did not give Shiwan a chance to refute and hung up the phone. Shiwan, wait. What did she mean by seduce him? Damn it. He had already defined her. Although that said, she did indeed want to seduce him. But yes, she had not taken action yet. And yes, even if she wanted to seduce him, it was done inadvertently. How could he see through it? He had underestimated her acting skills too much. Thinking of this, Shiwan suddenly realized that her attention seemed to have deviated. Yes, even if she wanted to seduce him, he had said it so openly. As a girl, she was super invincible and humiliated. Okay. Again, yes, what did he mean by picking the right time? Li Zhan, you deserve to live alone. Shiwan buried her head in the blanket and bit the pillow towel. Even after 7 or 8 minutes, Shiwan still felt that her face was burning. Why didn't you sleep well again? Zhou Dong put on makeup for Shiwan and couldn't help but complain again. Didn't I tell you? Women should take good care of their faces. You're in the entertainment industry, and your face is your food. You're gonna piss me off. Ah, Teacher Zhou, you're asking too much. Zheng Nuo put a straw into the warm milk and handed it to Shiwan. Here, drink some milk to warm your stomach. Ever since he told Zhou Dong that 11 Wan's skin was still as smooth as butter and her face was like a peach blossom, he had been ridiculed by Zhou Dong. If Shiwan's eyesight was as bad as his, he would have gone to sell pancakes. At this moment, Xiao Tsong continued to eat pancakes and no longer spoke to him. However, Shiwan's dark circles were indeed a little serious today. Her eyes were slightly swollen, and she looked like she had not slept enough. What's wrong? Zheng Nuo asked. Is it because of the comments on the internet? Zheng Nuo could only think of this at that moment. Those haters were really too annoying. Shiwan did not really offend them, but each and every one of them was spitting blindly as if they had been struck by hyperthyroidism. They had already taken out videos to slap their faces, but they were still immersed in their self-righteous world. They were spouting nonsense, and he really wanted to smash them to death with money. Shiwan shook her head. No. The warm milk made her stomach feel better. After drinking a few mouthfuls, Zheng Nuo naturally handed her the cake. Xiao Tsong said, I just scrolled through Weibo for a while. Our Weibo post for the promotional video is now the #1 trending topic. The comments on you below are also more positive. Thank you. Xiao Tsong smiled. Why are you thanking me? You were originally slandered by others. Now you could be considered to have cleared your name. How nice. Shiwan smiled. Zhou Dong nodded. That's right. You're such a good girl. How can you let others talk about you? I'm the first one to disagree. Zhou Dong's Weibo was all about makeup and skincare. However, after joining the crew, Zhou Dong's Weibo had changed quite a few Weibo posts about clearing her name. She had seen all of them. Thank you, Teacher Zhou. The atmosphere in the entire makeup room was warm. Shiwan's originally gloomy mood had also cleared up quite a bit. Following that, the entire morning's filming went smoothly. Because the filming crew was shooting outdoor scenes today, although the scene was cleared, there were still some tourists who stopped to take photos from afar. The staff naturally went forward to stop them. Suddenly, a Bentley appeared in front of the public. The tourists who were watching from behind looked at the Bentley that was rarely seen on the road. They all turned their heads and wondered which big shot had appeared. Soon, the door on the left opened, and a strange man in a black suit and white gloves came out. However, although this person's appearance was also thick-browed and big-eyed, it was still a little far from what they had imagined in their hearts, and they couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. They saw this person walk around the car to the back seat on the right, bend over, and open the door. There was more to the OVO. Everyone craned their necks to find out. They saw a pair of shiny black leather shoes. Their eyes were unsightly, and they couldn't tell what brand it was. However, the curved design was eye-catching. In addition to the fact that the car was a Bentley, the owner was probably not lacking in money. This money would probably be in the tens of thousands. Everyone felt an unbearable itch in their hearts. They couldn't wait to see the real face of the owner of the car. Then a pair of long and straight legs and a bent person stood up straight. When they saw the person in front of them, their eyes widened and they exclaimed in their hearts, "So handsome." The person who saw the silhouette was also extremely excited. The brows, the bridge of the nose, the wings of the nose, the slightly curved corners of the lips, and the smooth line of the chin. Was it some artist? And the person who only saw the back only felt that his body was as loose as a pine and his posture was handsome. For a moment, everyone actually felt that the sky was even bluer, the clouds were lighter, and the sunlight was even more dazzling. Everyone was very excited. It was rare to see a top-notch artist. They all took out their phones and wanted to take a picture as a memento. However, they were stopped by the bodyguards who followed behind them. Oh my God, he was indeed tall, rich, and handsome. The bodyguards, together with the cleanup crew, persuaded the tourists who had been lingering for a long time to stop and watch. Only then did it have any effect. At that time, Shi-won and Xiao Tsung had finished filming their passionate kiss scenes and returned to the waiting area to be decided. Zheng Nua's heart was filled with jealousy. They were filming a kiss scene again. It was endless. If the screenwriter stood up for me, I promise I won't beat you to death. He handed the hand warmer to Shi-won and muttered, "This is the last kiss scene, right?" Shi-won held the hand warmer in her arms. It was warm, and her heart felt warm. When she heard Zheng Nua say that again, she couldn't help but say, "Go through the script more." Zheng Nu, he keeps asking boring questions. Zheng Nu, I'm so tired from this stab. I don't like it anymore. At this moment, Gu Yi came over with a few cups of hot coffee. When he heard Shi-won's reply to Zheng Nua, he was overjoyed. I realized that our Shi-won is becoming more and more vicious, but she's so cute. Shi-won blinked. How is vicious cute? Also, when did she become venomous? As the few of them were chatting, they suddenly noticed that the people around them were all looking out of the stage. Heemin naturally looked over as well. Then, she couldn't help but say, "WHO's that? He's so handsome." However, she seemed a little familiar. When Shi-won, Gu Yi, and Zheng Nua heard this, they also looked in that direction. In an instant, Shi-won's small face turned pale. Zheng Nua narrowed his eyes and looked at this uninvited guest with an unfriendly gaze. Gu Yi rubbed his chin. Lin Shi? What's he doing here? If he remembered correctly, although there were Huafeng artists in this movie, they were all small characters. Gu Yi looked at Lin Shi's footsteps, as if she was walking towards him. And over here, he turned his head and saw Shi-won, whose gaze was distant and guarded, and Zheng Nua, whose expression was not worried. This was an old grudge. Lin Shi quickly walked to Shi-won a few steps and smiled warmly. Long time no see. Shi-won covered her hand with the hand warmer and grabbed the fur on it. She looked at him with a fake smile and did not say anything. Zheng Nua sneered. Is Huafeng going to close down? Boss Lin is actually so relaxed. Lin Shi smiled and did not mind. She only said to Shi-won, I came to H shop to discuss a job. I also came to visit you. Then, she turned her head and said to the secretary who had been following behind her, ask the bodyguards to take out all the things in the car for everyone. Shi-won continued to sneer. Heemin saw that the atmosphere was not right and her heart was in a mess. So the man in front of her was the driver of the behemoth, Huafeng's boss, Lin Shi. She narrowed her eyes and could not help but look at the handsome man in front of her again. She finally remembered why she found him familiar. Wasn't he the one who had exposed Zheng Nua to each other when she came back from the washroom at the airport that day? She had only glanced at him that day and thought that he was very handsome before boarding the plane. She had forgotten about it later on. No wonder Shi-won and Zheng Nua looked so unhappy at that moment. Zheng Nua sneered when he heard Lin Shi's shameless remarks. I don't know when our Shi-won has such a good relationship with you. It's not your turn to visit her. Lin Shi glanced at Zheng Nua and said calmly, Young Master Zheng is still so noisy. It's not good for your health. Zheng Nua wished he could punch him. However, he remembered that he was now an artiste manager and his every move was closely watched. If he was not careful, he could be magnified with a magnifying glass and posted on the internet. Causing a stir, Shi-won was the one who was at a disadvantage, so she endured it. Lin, she nodded to Gu Yi. Director Gu, I've heard a lot about you. Gu Yi nodded as well. Boss Lin, I've heard a lot about you too. But it's okay for Boss Lin to come to visit us. It's not good for the entire cast and crew to be in such a big commotion. Lin Shi's face turned green for a moment. If it were any other director, they would have immediately served tea and cigarettes to compliment Hua Feng's boss. But Gu Yi was not an ordinary director. Although he was a young director, he was also a second-generation rich man. His family background was not weaker than Hua Feng's. Naturally, he was full of confidence and did not need to curry favor with others. Moreover, looking at Lin Shi's attitude, it was obvious that she was targeting Jiang Shuan. No matter what, she was his rival in love. Therefore, Gu Yi naturally would not use good words to speak to Lin Shi. Lin Shi had been repeatedly rejected by Zheng Nuo and Gu Yi. He was a little angry, but he still maintained a trace of grace in front of the beauty. Although this grace was dispensable to the beauty, after all, he had tasted her red lips that day. Lin, she said, I'll be careful next time. Gu Yi replied with an N and didn't reply. Xuan sat at her seat and watched Lin. She put on a mask to act as a graceful man, sneering in her heart. If she had known that she was blind in the past, she wouldn't have thought that she was blind to such an extent. Back then, although Lin she would visit the studio, she had always kept a low profile and was deeply afraid that others would find out that her, Jiang Xuan's, man was Hua Feng's boss. But now, he had only met the current him, Jiang Xuan, a few times, but he had gone out in such a high profile and appeared in front of the crew, as if he was already her man, and what he was doing now was only natural. This gesture made all the beautiful memories that she missed look like *T. So disgusting. Everyone knew who Lin she was after asking around. He was the person in charge of Hua Feng, but he also had another identity, Sun Wanyu's future child's father. Thinking about it, the way everyone looked at Shi Wan changed. But thinking about it carefully, Shi Wan's performance in the film crew was commendable. Her acting was not like a newbie at all. She could completely destroy the rumor that she had risen to power through unspoken rules. She was also low-key and easy to get along with. No matter how you looked at it, there was no sign of her bad character. Doesn't strike me as a vain man, but it's only the present. Who knows what will happen to her in the future after all? People are fickle, not to mention that she is still a newcomer and has not really seen the entertainment industry's decadence. How many innocent young girls, just into the circle, a pure child's heart, can wait until the circle to see the flowers and willows green, luxuriant, and who can retain the original innocence? Lin, she said the next time will be careful, disgusting to not only Shi Wan, but also Zheng Nuo. Zheng Nuo saw that 11-1 did not like Lin Shi at all and did not even want to talk to her. So he acted as a messenger. Boss Lin, if I remember correctly, Best Actress Sue is going to give birth in the middle of April, right? I calculated the date, and it will only be 1 or 2 months. When your child is 1 month old, remember to inform me. I will also give you a gift. Lin Shi's face instantly turned ugly. She looked at Zheng Nuo with a malicious gaze. Then, she looked at Jiang Xuan, who was sitting in her seat and did not even bother to pay attention to him. The secretary behind Lin, she also had an ugly look on her face. This young Master Zheng was really bringing up a sore spot. He thought that he was also a person in the capital. Didn't he know that the boss hated people mentioning Sun Wanyu the most? Sigh. The boss wanted to pursue a new lover, but it was a pity that his old love had not been dealt with properly. Under such circumstances, he still wanted to pursue a beauty difficult then. Only his subordinates would suffer. Now, he only hoped that the beauty in front of him was a vain person. However, if she was really a vain person, then what was the point of boss being with her? In fact, sometimes he pitied the current boss. He drank to drown his sorrows every day and used his work to numb himself. In his free time, he watched the movies that Sis she wanted acted in over and over again. Sigh, it really matched that saying. If he knew this would happen, why did he have to go back to the beginning? Although he pitied the current boss, sometimes when he thought about it, the boss deserved it. Sis Shiwan was such a good person, but because of that video, she committed suicide. As the man of Sis Shiwan, the boss did not stand up and scold those who peered into the privacy of artistes. Even today, Sis Shiwon was labeled as lewd and promiscuous. Sigh. When Shiwon heard Zheng Nuo mention Soon Wan Yu again, her heart surged with anger. She looked at Lin Shi mockingly and said, "Oh right, I haven't congratulated Boss Lin on becoming a father soon." Gu Yi also smiled and said, "I personally admire the courage of Best Actress Sue. So when Boss Lin and Best Actress Sue have their wedding, don't forget to send me an invitation. Even if I'm out of town, I'll still have a generous allowance." Lin Shi was rendered speechless by the three of them. In the end, she only looked at Shiwan and said, "Today, I came to visit you. I didn't mean anything by it. Since I saw that you're doing well, I'm relieved." Shiwan looked at the stranger she was most familiar with and turned her head. She did not want to look at the face that she had once loved deeply but was now beyond recognition. She said, "Boss Lin, we've only met twice and we haven't even talked much. I'm afraid we're not that close. Moreover, you have a girlfriend. You're a father with a high position. It's easy to misunderstand when you say things like that. You know that I'm in the entertainment industry, and I'm most afraid of these groundless rumors. I hope Boss Lin can understand." The secretary looked at Shi Wan and then at the ugly-looking boss. She wanted to say something, but in the end, she shut her mouth. Lin Shi smiled. Then, she led the secretary and a large group of bodyguards and left. She came in a high-profile manner, but she returned in defeat. He-min watched Lin Shi leave with a lonely back until the Bentley disappeared from her sight. Then, she turned to look at Zheng Nuo and Gu Yi, who were gloating. She couldn't help but ask carefully, "Did he offend you in some way?" Zheng Nuo glanced at He-min and asked, "Why are you asking so many questions?" He-min said, "He's the boss of Huafeng. I think his attitude is quite good, but you're mocking him and making him angry. What if he gets angry and causes trouble for our Shi Wan behind our backs?" Zheng Nuo said, "What are you afraid of? Is our Tianying a vegetarian?" "But the enemy is very strong," He-min continued to reply weakly. Gu Yi patted He-min on the shoulder and said, "Little naivete. Then do you think it's okay to let such a big fan of the movie queen stay by our Shi Wan's side?" He-min, right. Once a female artiste was involved in a scandal like a mistress, she would want to turn things around. Her. Gu Yi smiled. All right. Hurry up and start filming. Sigh. I've been so tired recently. It's really hard for the other actors to compress your scenes together. Gu Yi complained sweetly. The more closely Shi Wan's scenes were arranged, the faster the production crew could finish filming. Thinking about it, it would save a lot of money. Shi Wan smiled. It's been hard on you. School 12's opening report and defense. School holidays would start on the 13th. Company 15th's annual meeting. The 18th was the first day of the new year. Time was very tight, so Shi Wan had to hurry up in the past 2 days. As long as you can handle it, we'll be fine. No matter what, we won't lose to a little girl, right? Time flies. In the blink of an eye, it's another new year. Gu Yi couldn't help but sigh. We've been filming for 3 to 4 months. It's 2 months earlier than I expected. Shi Wan, you're such a surprise. My/lucky/goddess. This was his first movie, and he had prepared it well. He had invested a lot in the early stages, so he had to do his best in every segment. This was especially so for the actors and actresses. This was the soul of the entire movie. If the actors didn't act well, then no matter how well the editing and special effects were done in the later stages, it would be useless. Therefore, he was really grateful to such a beautiful woman. Not only did she act the Bai Shuang that he wanted so vividly, she could also greatly reduce the production costs. Gu Yi spoke very sincerely. The way he looked at Shiwon was also filled with love and doting. Shiwon smiled at him. "You're exaggerating." He-min, who was at the side, saw the iron-faced director, Gu Yi, and her words and actions became more and more gentle. She looked at Shiwon with love and doting eyes. If not for the fact that she was afraid of being fired after being beaten up by Zheng Nuo, she would have told Shiwon to consider Gu Yi. After more than a week, Shiwon returned to B City again. This time, she did not go to the company but moved back to the dormitory. The bedding in the dormitory was all bought by He-min at the last minute. They were all new and fresh, causing the other 2 roommates to laugh. The school is going to be on holiday, and you still bought a set of bedding. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Zhou Liqing rushed back from overseas. She did not even remove her makeup. She looked travel-worn. When she saw Shi Wan and the others, she hugged them one by one. I'm so happy. It's been a long time since we last met. We'll have a good time after we open the question and answer tomorrow. The current Zhou Liqing had a star-like aura in her every move. Perhaps she had heard that the two big stars, Shi Wan and Zhou Liqing, had returned to the school dormitory, so the other female students from the other dormitories in the class had come to the dormitory. These faces were very unfamiliar to Shi Wan. But looking at their enthusiastic faces, she also returned a warm smile. Everyone chatted for a long time, and only when it was time for the school to turn off the lights did they reluctantly leave. The lively dorms gradually returned to silence. After everyone washed up, although they were still excited, they still laid down on their respective beds. Shi Wan slept on the school's hard single bed, feeling very emotional in her heart. There were too many people just now. So many gossips could not be asked out. Now that there were only the four of them left, they naturally asked whatever they had to ask. One moment of carelessness, and the conversation became high. When she woke up the next day, it was already 9:30 in the morning. Ever since the filming started, this was the first time Shi Wan had slept so late. Oh my god, there's still half an hour before the 10 o'clock defense. Zhou Liqing was the first to wake up. At this time, she was wearing her pajamas and was playing with a carp. She got out of bed and scratched her head that looked like a chicken nest. We have to hurry. We have to hurry. Then, she was the first to rush in the bathroom. The other three were woken up by her scream. Shi Wan took the phone at the side and yawned. Oh, there's still half an hour. Soon, the entire dormitory was dressed, washed, and rinsed. It was a lively scene. Afraid that they would not be able to make it in time, 3 people squeezed into the washroom. Shi Wan took out the opening report that she had prepared yesterday and took a few glances at it. Zhou Liqing was the first to come out. When she saw Shi Wan reading the opening report, she could not help but cover her eyes. Oh my god, I forgot to print it. Everyone! She took the makeup bag and took out a mirror, lotion, water, essence, face cream, sunscreen before makeup, foundation, powder, makeup, high gloss, concealer, blush, eyeliner, mascara, eyeshadow, eyebrow pencil, lipstick. The whole table was filled with all sorts of things, and she quickly started to put on makeup. After washing up, Qian Mingfei was dumbfounded. You're still putting on makeup? Damn, and there are so many things. If you finish all of them, the opening report and defense will probably be over. Also, don't forget that your opening report hasn't been printed yet. Zhou Liqing sobbed and pointed at her panda eyes. I can't help it. I'm an artist now. I can't go without makeup. Look at the dark circles under my eyes. They're too strong, and I even have a few pimples. If it's taken online, it'll be a dark history. As she said that, she looked at Shi Wan. Her skin was still fair and clear, without a single blemish. Her pair of phoenix eyes were as bright as the stars, so beautiful that it was hard to breathe. She couldn't help but say, I'm so envious of Shi Wan. She's also sleeping so late, but Shi Wan's skin is still so good. Sun Huayu said, it's your fault for not paying attention to your health. Hurry up and put on your makeup. Give me the USB, and I'll print it for you. IU is the best. I love you so much. Shi Wan put down the report in her hand and went into the bathroom to wash up. After coming out, Qian Mingfei looked at Zhou Liqing's makeup while looking at his watch. There are still 10 minutes before the formal defense. It will take 5 minutes for us to walk there. You still have 5 minutes. I know. Don't remind me all the time. Zhou Liqing pouted and then saw Shi Wan come out. Shi Wan, do you want to put on some makeup? Without waiting for Shi Wan to answer, Qian Mingfei said, do you think Shi Wan is you? You're so smug. You even need to put on makeup for the opening report and defense. Her natural beauty is enough. Zhou Liqing pursed her lips and didn't say anything. She just applied eyeshadow on her face faster. Sun Huayu called and said that she had already helped Zhou Liqing print out the opening report. She went to the 3rd floor of the Wenzhong Building's lecture hall first and told them to come over quickly. Qian Mingfei was really anxious. She wished that she could throw away all the eyesores on the table. Okay, it's done. Let's go. After putting on her makeup, Zhou Liqing was really much more beautiful and moving. Then she smiled at the two of them and said, "Sorry to keep you waiting. Let's go." Xiwan nodded. Qian Mingfei held Xiwan's arm and complained, "You just found out. I don't know where this bad habit was formed." Zhou Liqing bit her lip, her eyes slightly moist. "Didn't I explain? I'm an artist now." Qian Mingfei saw that Zhou Liqing was about to cry and was so scared that she immediately went to comfort her. I'm joking with you. Don't take it seriously." Okay, it's my fault. I apologize. Let's hurry to the Wenzone building. Otherwise, we'll be hoodwinked when we start the questions, and then we'll really be done for." When they reached the Wenzone building, they saw that there were still more than 2 points left. They could not help but feel lucky that they were not late. At this moment, the Wenzone building was filled with people. The broadcasting and hosting students of the media branch were all standing outside the hall, waiting for the upcoming defense. Xiwan and the others found Sun Huayu, who had come early. Sun Huayu handed the opening report to Zhou Liqing. "This is the defense of the performance department. It's full of laughter, and all kinds of arguments are not valid. The teachers are throwing sharp questions one after another, and they are speechless. So difficult." Zhou Liqing widened her eyes. "Didn't they say that the opening report is very simple?" "It doesn't look difficult to me, but those questions are targeted at the performance students. You know that they are art students, and we're the most difficult major in a university. So, I guess the questions will be more difficult for us." The few of them nodded, and Zhou Liqing's face turned pale. She immediately took her opening report and read it. "Oh no, my mind is full of script lines now. I have forgotten most of my original thoughts. Xiwan, what about you?" Xiwan said, "Don't worry, the opening report is just a situation." Zhou Liqing heard Xiwan say this and couldn't help but wail, "I'm asking you, a straight student, to torture myself." Okay, don't worry. I've never heard of any opening report that failed. But there are points. I don't want my score to be an ugly 60. Just as she finished her sentence, there was a commotion outside. It's coming out. Li Yin is coming out. It's so beautiful, as expected of the beauty of the performance department. Xiwan looked up and saw Li Yan's sad expression. When she saw Xiwan, her eyes lit up and she ran over aggrievedly. "Xiwan, those professors aren't human." "Xiwan, you know I'm an art student, yet you still ask me about the history of art and culture abroad. It's simply too much. Isn't this quite simple?" Zhou Liqing couldn't help but ask after forgetting about her opening report. Xiwan glanced at Li Yan's opening report and said, "On the evolution and differences between Chinese and Western performing styles." She couldn't help but say, "If you came up with this topic, it makes sense for the teacher to ask you in this direction." "I didn't come up with it," Li Yan ridiculed. "Xiwan, my brother did it. Damn it, I told him to make it easier. I can't take it anymore. I'll definitely give him a good scolding later." "Xiwan, are you sure your brother didn't despise you to death in the end?" Thinking of the vicious boss, Xiwan said goodbye. "Let's have lunch later. My brother is coming over." "I don't want it." Xiwan immediately rejected it. "I don't want to have lunch with the boss." Xiwan thought of the last time the boss said that she seduced him. It was too much. If it really happened, wouldn't it be true? Then she would be so wronged. "No, you definitely have to come. Don't forget, huh?" That threatening tone made people want to beat her up. Xiwan didn't say anything else, but Qian Mingfei pulled her over. "Let's go. It's our turn. I'll wait for you here." Li Yin shouted at Xiwan's back. After the opening speech, it was already 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Xiwan and the others walked out with a buzz. They were surprised to find Li Yin leaning against the pillar outside the door, waiting for them. Many people walked past her and turned their heads. Some took out their phones and secretly took photos. Xiwan. She really didn't give up. Li Yin waved her hand when she saw them come out. Qian Mengfei whispered to Xiwan, "Didn't this girl hate you the most in the past? Why is she so good now, like your Siamese twins?" Xiwan's mouth twitched slightly. Sun Huayu, who was standing next to Qian Mingfei, naturally heard Qian Mingfei's ridicule. She could not help but say leisurely, "Maybe they are in love." PFFD. Zhou Liqing was drinking water. When she heard Sun Huayu's humorous words, she could not help but spit out water. She anxiously looked around to see if anyone was secretly taking photos. Only then did she take out a tissue to wipe the corner of her mouth. It was rare for Li Yin to wear a white short down jacket today. The middle sleeves revealed a black undershirt, black pencil pants, and long straight legs. She had a pair of white green-tailed four-leaf grass. She had no makeup, but her facial features were bright, so she was young and beautiful. She walked over to Shiwan and the others. "Let's go, Shiwan, let's eat." Shiwan already said that she would eat with us, Qianming Fei said. Li Yin frowned. "It's tomorrow. I have something important to do today." "What's so important about you?" Qianming Fei retorted. "Can 11 Wan's marriage be done? You ask a lot of questions." Li Yin quickly threw out a string of words and pulled Shiwan over. She ran out and mumbled, "Hurry up, he must be waiting anxiously." The other three looked at each other. Qianming Fei asked, "What's the situation? Shiwan's marriage? Is she that kind?" Sun Huayu rubbed her chin. "Perhaps Lady Li hopes that Shiwan can find a suitable partner as soon as possible, and then Jiang Yi will be hers." Qianming Fei nodded. "This possibility is quite high." Then she asked Sun Huayu, "Then what do you think she will find for Shiwan? It shouldn't be worse than Jiang Yi, right? But it shouldn't be much better. It should be about the same. Shiwan definitely wouldn't be interested in someone worse than Jiang Yi, but better than Jiang Yi. I think Lady Li would like it herself, unless that person is Lady Li's relative. But do you think Lady Li would introduce her relative to Shiwan based on her personality? Definitely not." So Sun Huayu threw up her hands. "Ha, that makes sense. But even if she is similar to Jiang Yi, that would be good enough." Jiang Yi was actually the Prince Charming of university. Computer science, basketball, swimming, singing, looks, and family background. He was really good at everything, and he had attracted countless girls from university to submit to him. I just don't know if 11 Wan will be interested in him. Jiang, he didn't even think highly of Shiwan. Sigh, her standards were really high, but it was normal. People had the capital. She was born well, had a good temper, and had good grades. Now, she even stepped into the entertainment industry. Even though she was surrounded by negative rumors, how could they not know that she was dirty water? She would become famous in the future and be easy to get. Let alone Jiang Yi. Even a better man would be attracted to Shiwan. Who knows? But speaking of which, Shiwan will definitely become famous in the entertainment industry in the future. There will be many good men coming to her. Do you guys think it is possible for Shiwan and Xiao Yinzheng? I saw it on the internet, and it was a setup. It was very convincing. Oh, there are also a few big Vs in the entertainment industry that I follow. They also revealed that Xiao Yinzheng has taken a fancy to our Shiwan. I was too embarrassed to ask Shiwan yesterday, but now my heart is itching. All right, Liqing, what do you think? Zhou Liqing, who had not interjected all this time, said seriously, "I've said before that there aren't many reliable leaks in the entertainment industry. Don't believe these nonsense anymore." Sun Huayi nodded. "Xiao Yinzheng is good, but isn't he a little old? 32 years old? How is he old? This is the golden age for men, okay?" Zhou Liqing was a little excited. I know you're Xiao Yinzheng's longtime fan, but don't get too excited. Logically speaking, 32 years old is not that old, but our 11 Wan is only 21. The age difference is too big, Qianming Fei said weakly. Zhou Liqing looked listless. After a long while, she replied, "A few couples in the circle are more than 12 years apart. Don't you know that there's a famous joke online? Your current lover is either an uncle or in kindergarten." Qianming Fei and Sun Huayu looked at each other. In the end, Qianming Fei seemed to have thought of something. "All right, Liqing, are you in a relationship now?" Zhou Liqing was surprised. I'm not in a relationship." "Then who are you in a relationship with on Weibo?" Sun Huayu said in a low voice. "Don't tell me you're in love with Xiao Yinzheng." Zhou Liqing looked a little flustered and quickly retorted, "No. How is that possible? It's just a line from a TV drama that I acted in. I felt that the screenwriter was jealous, so I posted it on Weibo. I can't be jealous alone." Shiwan was dragged away by Li Yin, and her heart raced. "I told you not to have dinner with your brother." "Damn, how are you going to seduce my brother if you don't have dinner with him?" "Seduce my ass." Shiwan exploded when she heard the word seduce. Lian, why are you so agitated? Wasn't this what we agreed on? Shiwan, she was speechless. You really don't know what to do. I'm always the one urging you, so I'll create an opportunity for you. Seriously, if this continues, my brother will definitely suspect that I'm up to no good. Shiwan looked at Li Yin with disdain. She really wanted to tell her that with your brother's IQ. He should have seen through it long ago. He was just teasing her now you play. Otherwise, before she could even do it, he would have exposed her intention to seduce her. It was too embarrassing. Hurry up, my brother's right in front. I'm afraid that he'll be impatient waiting. Shiwan stood still again. To tell you the truth, your brother is gay. No, your brother is asexual. Shiwan was extremely annoyed at her own misstep back then. She wished she could immediately say, let's cancel our agreement. I don't need your protection anymore. However, on second thought, the Lin Shi that she had offended a few days ago and soon won you in the future were swallowed up again. A cold wind blew past. Lian was petrified on the spot. She only felt a few broken leaves twirling in front of her eyes before landing on the ground. So, is my brother gay or asexual? Lian was on the verge of collapse. Is this for real? The nephew that I've been longing for so long. You're telling me that it's impossible for me to get it now. Play. Me. Play. Anyway, he's not straight. Shiwan replied calmly. She did not want to see Li Yan's shocked expression anymore. She turned her head to look at the scenery, but in the end, she was not good at all. Can you tell me why the boss appeared behind her? When did he appear behind her? How much did he hear? Shiwan felt that if there was a pillar in front of her, she would definitely bang her head against it and die. She stared blankly at the tall and handsome Li Zhan in white casual clothes. His expression was indifferent, and his eyes were cold. Many passers-by on both sides were surprised by his appearance. They looked back again and again, but he was not affected at all. He just strolled leisurely along the road. The rare blue sky of City B was as beautiful as an oil painting at this moment, and he was the person in the painting walking towards reality. His eyes were clear and bright. He glanced at Shiwan slightly, and then looked at Li Yan. His clear and cold voice was neither high nor low. Aren't you going to eat? Li Yan looked at her brother, who was slowly walking over. After a long while, she said, Aren't you here? Shiwan wants to eat with me. She had just finished speaking when she suddenly thought of something. Brother, why are you here? Didn't I tell you to wait for me in the car? Wait, when did you come? After Li Yin asked this question, Shiwan and Li Yin were so nervous that their palms were sweating. They looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with it's all your fault. After a long time, oh, let's go eat. Shiwan obediently followed behind this time. She was not going against Li Yin, but her heart was in turmoil. Did the boss hear it, or did he not hear it? She hated this kind of expressionless face. You showed some clues. Give me a signal. The relationship between Shiwan and Li Yin was guilty, but the meal was unusually harmonious. In addition, Li Zhan had his own refrigerator attribute, so the entire private room was silent. Li Yin kicked Shiwan's feet under the table and winked at Shiwan behind Li Zhan's back. Shiwan was as still as a mountain. When Li Zhan raised his head to look at her, he smiled slightly and lowered his head, fiddling with his chopsticks in the bowl. Li Zhan ate at a moderate pace, and his posture was very elegant. Looking at him eating was like looking at an oil painting, which was quite pleasing to the eye. After he finished eating, he saw that the food in front of Shiwan and Li Yin didn't show any signs of eating. Is it not to your appetite? No, no, no. Li Yin shook her head and replied quickly. Seeing that Li Zhan was still looking at her, she took a bite of white rice and another bite of white rice. It's very delicious. Li Zhan smiled and looked at 11-1 again. Shiwan was not hungry after being stared at by this sharp gaze. At this moment, she had no appetite at all. She put down her chopsticks and said with a smile, Hee hee, I ate too much in the morning. You said you ate too much? Shiwan was stunned. It took her a long time to understand what the boss meant. F***. Where did he find out that she was good at eating? Li Zhan nodded. He tapped his index and middle fingers on the table, as if he was thinking about something. The room was not big, so the tapping sound could be heard clearly. Shiwan's little heart followed the tapping sound of her boss fingers. It was beating very fast. Xiwan only felt that at this moment, she was a prisoner on death row, waiting for someone to give her a fatal blow. After finishing the meal, Xiwan felt that her back was drenched in sweat. She definitely lost 2 pounds. Lian did not finish a bowl of white rice with a single bite. Finally, she said with a shy face, "Right, our company will hold the annual party soon, right? The 15th. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Dad. It's the annual party of the Heaven Shadow Group. The 14th, right? It's one day earlier than yours." "Oh," Li Zhan nodded. "You haven't found a female partner yet, right? I'm going to accompany Jiang Yi this year, so I can't be your female partner," Li Yin said with a smile. When Xiwan heard this, she knew that this young miss had started to engage in sales mode again. Was she really stupid, or was she pretending to be stupid? Just now, even though the boss didn't state whether or not he heard the conversation between the two of them, she was acting so brazenly now. Xiwan couldn't bear to think about it anymore. Sure enough, boss glanced at her, and then haha. Taunt skill is maxed out. After that, he heard the boss speak in a neutral tone. "When did you not say that you were accompanying Jiang Yi? It's just that he despises you every year. I gave you face to be my female companion." Lian, holy shit. 1 point noodles, son, both know here you go her stay. Here shit true yes. Sir, her honey brother, is that right? No swearing. Lian suddenly realized that she had unknowingly said what was on her mind. She looked at Xiwan and saw her red face trying to hold back her laughter. She couldn't help but say, "What are you laughing at? What's so funny? Don't laugh." Xiwan nodded. "All right, don't laugh." Then, she thought of her past self, which was similar to Li Yin, and she couldn't help but advise Jiang Yi doesn't know how to cherish you. Why don't you give up? Girls, if a one-way relationship lasts for too long, it's not good. It's because he doesn't love you, and he won't cherish you. He won't be able to see your sacrifice, and you will be in great pain. Just like her a one-way relationship with Lin Shi. There were so many outstanding men in the circle chasing after her, but she disdained them all. But what did she get in the end? The baby that she had been looking forward to was pushed by his mother and miscarried. He and his best friend betrayed her together. She spent all her strength to love him, but he abandoned her like trash. Love was right, but ultimately, the person was wrong. Lian bit her lip and glared at Xiwan. What do you know? You haven't been in a relationship before. How could she not have been in a relationship before? This is her life and death talk. It was a pity that she could not say it out loud and could only sigh in her heart. If you hadn't shown up, he might be my boyfriend now. Every time she thought that Jiang Yi didn't love her and loved Xiwan, her heart was always unbalanced. Although she had spent some time with Xiwan, her initial dislike for Xiwan had gradually developed into an iron friendship, but she still couldn't let go. After so many years, she was rejected by Jiang Yi time and time again. Sometimes, even she would ask herself if she should give up, but when she thought about it, she had already endured for so long. Should she just give up? Was she willing, not willing Jiang? It was already the obsession in her heart. Li Zhan frowned and said sternly, "How can you say that?" Li Yin pursed her lips. "Apologize." Li Yin pursed her lips and looked at Xiwan. After a long while, she finally said, "I'm sorry." Xiwan shook her head. She knew that Li Yin was the same as her. She had the temperament of never turning back. Only by learning from her mistakes would she learn from them. She sighed and looked into the distance. "One day in the future, you will know that what I said was actually right. The person who doesn't cherish you will never be your lover." She would never be able to get a lover in this lifetime. She only hoped that the friend by her side would be able to get it. Li Yin remained silent. Li Zhan only glanced at her, deep in thought. During the meal, they were trembling in fear at first, but in the end, they were silent. After the three of them left the restaurant, Li Zhan looked at the two people sitting behind them. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to the shopping mall. It's going to be the annual party soon, and there are several programs and invitations for the party. I haven't prepared some clothes yet." "Xiwan, what about you?" Oh, I don't have any either." Li Zhan shook his head. In the end, he could only drive the car to the shopping mall. When the car entered the sea of cars, the scenery on both sides gradually turned into lines that were rapidly retreating. The azure blue sky and the green lines were like simple abstract paintings. Li Yin recalled that her previous topic was interrupted because of Jiang Yi. Now that she thought about it again, she naturally blurted out, "Brother, since you don't have a female companion, please invite Wan. She is good-looking and will definitely give you face." Li Jian was originally focused on driving, but when he heard his sister say this, he almost turned the steering wheel. He said seriously, "I know what to do." Li Yin pursed her lips. She wanted to say something more, but Wan covered her mouth. She said to Li Jian, who was driving in front, "Boss, don't listen to her nonsense. I don't have time." Li Yin struggled to move Wan's hand away. "You don't have a new job." The two of them stared at each other. The World is going to be released soon. It's going to go to Country D on March 6th for the Shilin Film Festival. Wait for me to bring back my favorite female lead. Although Li Yin always had nothing to do, she had quite a lot of exposure. In addition to her beautiful looks, her popularity online was no less than Wan's, and most of her reviews were positive. After all, her family background was there. There was really no one who dared to defame her. I told you earlier, it's better to stand out under brother Hai than to work under my stupid cousin. He's a layman. Other than working as an assistant, what else can he do for you? Wan replied, "I'll finish filming first. Only with the work would she have the confidence. With good resources, she would naturally beckon to her." The car drove into the basement of the magnificent shopping mall. The few of them took the elevator and went straight to the shopping mall. This place could be said to be a den of money. Any piece of clothing could easily reach tens of thousands of people. Ordinary people would not come here, so it became the best shopping place for the rich, socialites, and celebrities, of course. There were also some ordinary people who came in to try their luck. Although B City was not big, there were a lot of rich and famous people. In addition, the new year was approaching, so there were quite a lot of people who bought new clothes. Therefore, after a few steps, one could see one or two familiar faces, some of whom were famous A-listers. In fact, as an A-lister, there were many times when clothes were provided by a special brand. A large part of the reason for coming to the shopping/mall was to enjoy the shopping process. After working hard for an entire year, one could not go out and play as one wished. There was too much pressure accumulated, so shopping was naturally a very good way to relieve the pressure. Therefore, one could always see many female artistes wearing sunglasses, killing their way in and out. And behind her, there was definitely an assistant carrying big and small bags. Soon, Wan saw Yang Feng and Han Zi, who she had met on the plane, shopping together. Yang Feng's hand was naturally wrapped around Han Zi's waist. The two of them were whispering and their expressions were intimate. With one look, it was obvious that they were lovers in love. The two of them were both wearing bibs and sunglasses. Han Zi even had her hair draped over her shoulders, but Wan still recognized them at a glance. "Isn't this our company's Yang Feng?" Li Yin looked at her brother. Li Jian nodded. "WHO's the woman next to him. She looks quite familiar." Wan pulled Li Yin over. "You still want to see people fall in love?" Then, the few of them started shopping. Most of them were Li Yin looking while Li Yin was trying. Wan and Li Jian just stood outside and waited. This time, Li Yin once again charged into the Xiang family special counter and tried on a small gown that had just arrived. In the shop, Wan and Li Jian were sitting opposite each other on a lounge chair. The boss calmly took out his phone and looked down. Needless to say, he was definitely watching the financial news. From Wan's point of view, she could clearly count how many lashes he had. It was so long it really made women jealous. The shop assistant of the Xiang family quickly brought 2 cups of steaming hot coffee, a plate of exquisite pastries, and 2 latest fashion shows. She said, "Miss Jiang, sir, please enjoy your meal." As she said this, her eyes swept over the silent Li Jian twice. Obviously, the shop assistant had recognized her identity. It was also true that the employees who could work here had always been very perceptive. Wan was bored, so she casually flipped through it. Her gaze stopped at a very exquisite yellow dress with a V-neck. The model was wearing an exceptionally fresh and refined outfit. The Xiang family's clothes had always been Sun Wanyu's favorite. Yellow was also her favorite color. Sun Wanyu had always liked to buy all the Xiang family's yellow clothes. Presumably, this dress would not be an exception. Like it. Seeing that Xiwan's gaze had stopped at this page for too long, Li Zhan's voice actually rang in the air. Xiwan looked up and saw that Li Zhan's gaze swept across the yellow dress and then looked at her. Ah, oh. Lian appeared in the group wearing a peach-pink dress. Her face was like a flower, and she looked like the two of them had walked around. She was pleasantly surprised. Are you good-looking? The shop assistant at the side was very sweet. Miss Li is good-looking. She looks good in everything. This was also the truth. Once a person was born well, they would put on a rag and walk on the streets. People would only think that they were walking on the runway. Lian was very happy. Brother, the bill. After saying that, she ran back to the fitting room and wore the original outfit. Li Zhan stood up and pointed at the open magazine page on Xiwan's desk. I want that too. The shop assistant was pleasantly surprised. She looked at the yellow gown and said repeatedly, "This dress is the new model that just arrived today." With that, she went back to the counter to write the list. Her brisk footsteps could not hide the joy in her heart. Xiwan blinked and looked at Li Zhan. She was puzzled for a moment. What did boss mean by this? Buy it for her, or did he buy it? Because she liked it and he wanted to see her unhappy, she vaguely felt that the latter was more likely. After all, she seemed to have offended him before, and he was still angry. He had even told her that if he didn't get angry, he would see her sad. In addition, at noon, she always felt that this boss, who didn't show any emotion, had actually heard what she and Li Yan had said. But if he had really heard it, would he be so calm and not explain, or even pretend that it had never happened, or there was another possibility? Boss, he was really gay since he was right. He might as well not explain himself. Xiwan nodded and felt that she was getting closer and closer to the truth. The boss didn't even look at the bill. He just swiped the card and signed it in one go. The shop assistant at the side was full of stars. He reluctantly handed over 2 bags. He accepted them. Lian didn't notice that her brother had bought an extra one. She only looked at the G family across the street. Let's go over there. After that, she pulled Xiwan and walked over. Lian saw a long red floral dress at a glance. She said to her shop assistant, "Give me the smallest size to try on." "The one in your hand is the smallest size." Lian nodded. She took the dress and went to the fitting room. Not long after she entered, Yang Feng and Han Zi also stepped into the shop. Everyone's eyes naturally met. The G-shop assistant standing at the side was also stunned. Although the turnover these days was very good, it was rare to see so many celebrities in such a short period of time. Yang Feng naturally knew Xiwan and Li Zhan. One was the junior sister who had gone with him to audition for the set of Askance a few days ago, and the other was the cold and aloof boss that he could only see once in a while. However, he really didn't expect that the two of them would appear in the same frame, although they looked quite compatible. He revealed a look of shock, but he quickly calmed down and nodded at Li Zhan and Xiwan. He didn't dare to talk to the boss, so he naturally asked Xiwan, "Are you here to buy clothes?" Xiwan looked at him and smiled without replying. Hanzi narrowed her eyes and held Yang Feng's arm with one hand. "Aya, aren't you going to introduce me?" she said as she glanced at the man standing behind Xiwan. With just one glance, Hanzi felt her heart beat faster. She had always been in the Foreign Trade Association. After staying in Korea for a long time, her personality had grown even more. The men she had dated and had relationships with were all popular idols. Even if there were some dark deals that she had to go to, she had told her superiors that she would not serve those who were ugly. Because she was easy to talk to and obedient, and because she was extremely popular, her superiors naturally did not make things difficult for her. They did not hand over invitations from people who were too ugly to her. Her best friend had once said that she was simply a stamp collector, and she did not deny it. The entertainment industry was all about sex, money, and power. She had seen so many handsome men in all kinds of ways, and she only felt that this man in front of her was the best born she had ever seen. Not only did his facial features stand out, but they were also as if they were carved by the heavens. His temperament was like the wind and the moon. This kind of cleanliness made her yearn for it. At this moment, he stood at the side without any emotions on his face. He didn't say anything, but it made people feel that he was the king here. Jealousy was like a snake in the hands of the devil, slowly swimming into her heart and making her excited. How could this woman be with such a man? Hanzi let out a charming smile and smiled as she won and Li Jian. Then, she waved her arm at the slightly uncomfortable Yang Feng. Ah, aren't you going to introduce us? Yang Feng smiled. This is Shiwan, and this is... Isn't it beautiful? Li Yin, who was wearing a red floral dress, appeared in front of everyone. Then, she looked at Yang Feng and Han Zi and frowned slightly. She walked slowly like a blooming peacock princess and blinked at Shiwan. Isn't it beautiful? Yes. Li Yin said to the shop assistant happily. I'll take it. Then, she said to Shiwan, you should buy it too. Don't just look at it. Otherwise, we'll see what you'll wear at the party. Then, she pointed at the lake blue dress hanging in the transparent safe and said to the shop assistant, take out that one. Take out that one. This was the first time that Han Zi was treated as if she didn't exist. She felt a little uncomfortable, and when she saw that Yang Feng's eyes couldn't stop staring at Li Yin, she felt even more unhappy. She couldn't help but pinch Yang Feng, and her delicate and soft voice rang out. Hey, you haven't answered what I just said. Didn't I say it? Shiwan. Oh, my dear, you know her even if I don't say it. Then she said to Shiwan, this is Han Zi. Oh, she's a singer. We're both artists. I don't think I need to introduce her in detail, right? The internet was so developed. Even if they had never met or collaborated, they basically knew each other. If they introduced each other again, it would be really awkward. Han Zi was fuming. She didn't want to know about Jiang Shiwan. She wanted to know about this exquisite person in front of her. Okay, but seeing that Yang Feng obviously didn't want to introduce that man, she could only give up. At worst, she could investigate herself. Han Zi reached out her hand. It's a pleasure to meet you. Shiwan shook it and immediately let go. She only responded indifferently. Oh, Han Zi was a little unhappy. After all, she was a relatively well-known artist now. It was always her subordinates who supported her, and no one dared to slap her face. Jiang Shiwan, a newcomer who didn't even have a single work, was still the first. Thinking of this Jiang Shiwan, she secretly hated her. Back then, when she left the super popular group in Bang State and flew back to China alone, she debuted again as Xiao Yinjing's junior sister. She was simply the center of attention. She didn't disappoint the public and managed to raise her popularity to a new high. However, the company had always given her the image of a sweet and soft girl. She was not stupid. Of course, she knew that as she grew older, she could not be a sweet and soft girl forever. After all, she would always run out of money. Therefore, she also wanted to seek a breakthrough. However, her voice was here. She could not walk in the European and American style, nor could she walk in the female style. After that, she released a single EP, which was Chinese style, but the response was mediocre. Therefore, transformation was her main goal this year. When she learned that her senior brother was going to shoot Love in Heaven, she was excited for quite a while. She had also hinted many times that she could act as the female lead in Love in Heaven for no pay. However, her senior brother did not hesitate to slap her away. He even said, "You are not suitable. There is no other suitable role for you in the movie." His words had blocked her escape route. After that, she had no choice but to consider participating in a reality show. At the airport, when she heard Jiang Shiwan's little assistant say that she would act as Yao Guang, she was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. That was why she only let her marketing account expose the news of Yao Guang's internal selection of the lead role a day later. The result was great. Even when the promotional video for the documentary of the geisha of the Tang Dynasty was released, her senior brother had also forwarded it. The industry insiders had also confirmed her acting skills, but she was still completely defamed by many people. Thinking of this, she was once again delighted. At this moment, the shop assistant had already opened the safe and took out the lake blue gown that was hanging inside. The hem of the gown was inlaid with countless diamonds, and it was sparkling and dazzling. "It's really beautiful." Just as the shop assistant was about to pass the gown to Shiwan, Han Zi smiled at Shiwan. "This gown is pretty good." Shiwan nodded. "Can you?" "No." Before she could say anything, Li Yin interrupted. "You're so short and ugly. If you can't hold on to this gown, then don't even think about it. Then, Lian looked at the shop assistant. Wrap this up for me, too. Hanzi's face alternated between green and white, looking extremely unsightly. She never thought that this seemingly arrogant young lady in front of her would have such a vicious mouth. Also, which part of her was short? She was also 162. Okay. Wearing high heels, white tee-high waist pants, she looked like she was 1.7 meters tall. Okay? Which part of her was short? She only wore a pair of flats today, yet she was called short by her. It was really too hateful. The shop assistant, who had been standing by the side, was obviously shocked. Then, she was swept by Lian's gaze. She stupidly took the blue dress and went to open the bill. Seeing that Hanzi was about to flare up, Yang Feng thought that Lian was the little boss of the company. He could not afford to offend her, so he pulled Hanzi over. Let's look at the others. You look dark and blue. This time, Hanzi was in a bad mood. She gritted her teeth. Do you know how to speak human language? Yang Feng. Lian didn't look at them anymore. She only poked Li Zhan's arm, motioning for him to settle the bill. Finally, Li Zhan carried 7 to 8 bags before the three of them left the shopping mall. After getting into the car, Lian took the bags and counted her spoils of war. She then handed the Ji family's bag to 11 Yuan. Here, this is for you. Consider it a gift for shopping with me. Li Zhan, who was driving, rarely spoke. Are you sure you are the one paying? As the car was driving on the road, Lian suddenly said to Li Zhan, Stop the car, stop the car. I want to get out. Xiwan followed Lian's gaze and looked out of the car window. She was shocked to find Jiang Yi and a young lady selling something in the garden on the street. Li Zhan frowned and finally slowly parked the car by the side of the road. Lian anxiously said, Brother, send Xiwan off. I have something urgent to do. After saying that, she didn't even take her handbag and got out of the car to run away. For a moment, Xiwan and Boss were left alone again. The atmosphere was a little strange. Sit in the front. Okay. Xiwan recalled his chauffeur theory and got into the car. Logically speaking, she shouldn't be so nervous. But when she thought of the phone call that day, where do you want to go? Back to school. I want to celebrate with my roommate that night. After all, school would officially start its winter break tomorrow. Oh, there was silence in the car again. Xiwan turned on the music, and the gentle music was like flowing water, murmuring and slanting, but she still felt a little stuffy. She opened the window a little more, and the wind blew her hair into the wind. She turned her head and looked at his carefully sculpted profile. Sometimes she couldn't help but think, with such a face, what kind of expression would he have when he lost control, of course? She felt that she would never be able to see her boss lose his composure in this lifetime. Xiwan, who had always been silent, couldn't help but say, I've always wanted to say that. It was another one syllable, the same tone for thousands of years. It was neither high nor low, and you just happened to hear it clearly. About the phone call that day, she said slowly, you said that I wanted to seduce you. As she said that, she was a little nervous. Then, she stared at her boss. You said that I wanted to seduce you. Actually, I didn't. At first, those two words were in her heart, so you misunderstood me. At least now, she really didn't. So, boss, you definitely misunderstood. Oh, and then, Li Zhan looked sideways. Xiwan blinked. She always felt that boss was calm and composed. Logically speaking, if someone were to be exposed, they would definitely be embarrassed and angry, but boss didn't. For a moment, Xiwan forgot the lines that she had spent so much effort to organize. She tried to think about it, but she could not remember the specifics. She could only emphasize again, so I didn't seduce you. Li Zhan nodded. It's over? It's over. Oh, there was no other expression. There was silence all the way back to University A. 11-1 was about to get out of the car when Li Zhan said clothes. Oh, the one that Li Yin had bought for her was still in the back seat. She took it and was about to leave when she heard Li Zhan say again, and the yellow one. Did he really buy it for her? Xiwan expressed that she was flattered. Number 14, remember to put on your makeup. I'll come and pick you up. Before she could react, she saw boss's car start and disappear. WTF. She was only holding 2 bags and stood in the cold wind. When she returned to the dormitory, the others were not there. Xiwan sent a message to inquire about it. Then, she called her mother and placed the 2 clothes she had just bought on the bed. Xiwan opened her Weibo and logged into her alternate account. She sent a message, WTF, then she switched back to her main account. Although the news searches about her were quite popular these days, the number of fans didn't increase much. It still hovered around 5.5 million. However, the comment section was much cleaner. It seemed that the promotional video was still useful. Xiwan looked at the posts and comments, picked a few replies and smiled. Then, she replied to a few of her friends and took a selfie and posted it on Weibo. The weather is good today. It's suitable for sports. Then it was trending. The hot headlines, Zhao Ziyan and Fan Zhao's big-headed photo could be said to have broken the ice for 1,000 years. The 2 of them, one was a capable actor and the other was an idol. They both debuted with the same show 10 years ago. At that time, Zhao Ziyan was the female lead and was famous everywhere. Fan Zhao was the second female lead and disappeared for a period of time. Later, Fan Zhao became popular because of her appearance, high exposure, and team hype. After years of hype, coupled with modern people looking more and more at the face in the dishes, Fan Zhao's popularity rose to an unprecedented high. Her status was the same as Zhao Ziyan's. As a result, Zhao Ziyan, who was dressed in a green robe and had great acting skills, did not like her. The 2 of them had been at odds for a long time. This time, the group photo of the century naturally brought the netizens to a climax. They left comments one after another. Goddess, I didn't expect to see the 2 main characters of pugilistic world together again in my lifetime. It was worth it. However, Xiwan knew that this time, it was because the 2 of them controlled the same entertainment company. For the sake of the stock, they had no choice but to reconcile. The entertainment industry was like this. It was a combination of truth and falsehood. Only the people involved knew what was going on. After scrolling for a while, her roommate came back with a lot of delicious food in her hands. Xiwan, where did you and Lian go? Qian Mengfei handed the grapefruit meat to Xiwan. This is very sweet. Xiwan took it and replied, we ate and went shopping. Zhou Liqing's eyes were sharp. She saw 2 bags on Xiwan's bed, one double C and one Givenchy. Can you come down and take a look? As she said that, she had already taken the 2 bags down. She opened the double C and a yellow dress appeared in front of her eyes. It's so beautiful. Xiwan, quickly put it on. It will be so beautiful. Xiwan's skin is white. She'll definitely look good in it. Sun Huayu also nodded in agreement. Why do you want to buy clothes? Oh, the company's annual meeting. I'll be attending the dinner party. Zhou Liqing saw the purchase order under the bag. The 29,999 on it dazzled her eyes. 30,000 yuan, such a dress. This figure gave Qian Mingfei and Sun Huayu, who were eating, a shock. It's so expensive. Xiwan was thinking that she had made her boss spend a large sum of money again. She had to buy something to return. Zhou Liqing immediately opened another one. She saw that the hem of the dress was full of diamonds. Upon closer inspection, the diamonds and crystals intersected each other. It was very shiny and very beautiful. She could not help but ask, is this diamond real or fake? It should be fake, right? Xiwan did not know, but she was not sure. After all, this dress was hung in the safe. How much is this? Qian Mingfei ate a piece of grapefruit meat and asked. Zhou Liqing found the list and gasped. She was completely stunned. How much? Tell me. Don't be so surprised. Qian Mingfei looked at Zhou Liqing's expression and couldn't help but urge her again and again. In the end, she took the list and said, F*CK, 100,000. Actually, this price was a little expensive for them now, but for her in the past, it was still okay. Sometimes, the clothes on the red carpet at foreign film festivals were all ordered by big brands. A dress could easily cost $1 million for ordinary people. It was a sky-high price. At this moment, seeing her friends' shocked expressions, she had no choice but to say, it's from Lian, even though the boss paid for it. As expected of a fair, rich, and beautiful woman, she casually gave you more than 100,000 yuan. Qian Mingfei was speechless. But that's true. You're artists, so you can't wear too shabby clothes. Zhou Liqing smiled, and her eyes flashed. She put the clothes back into the bag and asked Shiwan, "Have you chosen your male partner? I heard that there's a dance segment." Shiwan couldn't answer for a moment. Could she say that her male partner was the boss? Shiwan, put on this blue dress and take a look. I'm really looking forward to you wearing it. Qian Mingfei kept changing the topic excitedly, just in time to avoid the awkwardness that Shiwan did not want to answer. Shiwan nodded. Okay. Then she returned to the bed and sat down to try on this blue dress. Qian Mingfei said lasciviously, I can't wait to be a man now. TSK, TSK. Our Shiwan is like a crystal person, and her breasts are so big. I don't know which man will be blessed in the future. Shiwan was a little embarrassed. You are so lecherous. After changing into a long gown, she got off the bed and put on her high heels. Qian Mingfei's eyes were fixed on the V-neck area. It's really a feast for the eyes. As she said that, she reached out her hand, but it was knocked away by Sun Huayu. That's all you can do for a cup. Qian Mingfei only felt that she received 1,000 damage points. Mengdi stuffed the grapefruit meat into her mouth. I'm not allowed to touch it yet. Liqing, did you buy it? Sister Fei Fei will prepare it for me. Fei Fei was Zhou Liqing's manager. The four of them gathered together and chatted. Before they knew it, it was already evening. The few of them had dinner at the umami restaurant before returning to their dormitory. As time passed, everyone grew up slowly. School life was getting shorter by the day. Perhaps in the future, they would never be able to speak as freely as they did now. The next day at noon was Shiwan's class gathering. After that, they would go home and see each other next year. Shiwan did not have a car, so she naturally took a taxi back to the small villa in the suburbs. The driver looked at Shiwan and could not help but say, You're so pretty. Are you a celebrity? Shiwan returned to the villa. At that time, her mother was sitting in the courtyard, reading a book. Probably because her standard of living had improved, she wasn't as hardworking as when she first saw her. Her thin cheeks were well-nourished, and most of the clothes she wore were bought by her. She looked much better. When she saw Shiwan coming back, she welcomed her in surprise and took Shiwan's suitcase. Wan, are you on vacation? Yes, I'll be at home for a week. Her mother nodded. Okay. Then she looked at Shiwan. You've lost a lot of weight. I'll make you something delicious to supplement your body. Shiwan nodded. Sometimes she really felt guilty about this kind of strange and touching motherly love. 2 days passed without a ripple in Shiwan's heart. It was as if the world of the entertainment industry had nothing to do with her. If she did not have a life-threatening grudge, she really wanted to live like this for the rest of her life. When she woke up in the morning, Shiwan's phone was ringing. She took the phone beside her in a daze and cursed herself. I forgot to turn on the flying mode again. Then she looked at it. Cold and aloof boss. These 4 words scared Shiwan so much that her sleepy head disappeared in an instant, and her whole body was full of energy. Hello. She picked up the phone. Where is it? At home. Where? What? The address. No. Shiwan said a series of no. Huh. XX District XX Villa 606. Got it. Then, the boss hung up. Only then did Shiwan remember that today was the annual meeting of Sky Shadow headquarters. She did not even have the right to refuse, and was dragged by the boss to be her female companion. She had no choice but to get up and scratch her messy hair. After washing up, she took Givenchy's bag and left the bedroom. Her mother ran a breakfast shop, but it was almost New Year's, so the breakfast shop closed early. She was very good at cooking, and her food was exquisite and delicious. Shiwan ate 2 pieces of glutinous rice cake and couldn't help but pinch the meat on her cheeks. Mom made it very delicious. Fortunately, I didn't stay at home for long, or I would have definitely become fat. How are you fat? You're fat. Come back for dinner, right? I'll make you a dangue ginseng hen to nourish you. Today and tomorrow are the company's annual meetings. You might come back late. It's okay. I'll keep you warm, she said. Your company is different from ordinary companies. I heard that the entertainment industry is quite chaotic. You're my daughter. Of course, I won't believe that you'll do anything reckless, but you have to protect yourself, okay? Shiwan smiled. I know. Don't worry. I'll leave first. She nodded. Then you go out and be careful. After stepping out of the house, Shiwan walked straight to the door. After all, it was not good to let the boss drive into the neighborhood on purpose. Just as she reached the entrance of the neighborhood, she saw Gu Yi slowly walking over with a fruit bag in his hand. Gu Yi was very surprised. Shiwan, you live here too? Director Gu? How are you? Gu Yi tapped 11 Wan's forehead. Girl, how many times have I said it? I can't remember it. Am I that old? I'm only 24. Call me Gu Yi. We're both from the 90s. Why are you so unfamiliar? Shiwan. She was shocked by Gu Ye's girl in the 90s. Firstly, her real age was 5 years older than Gu Yi, so she naturally regarded him as her younger brother. When she first heard of girl, she could not help but be shocked. Secondly, in her impression of the post-90s generation, they were all arrogant brats. She did not expect that in today's society, the biggest post-90s generation had already graduated, married, and had children. She could not help but sigh. Time really passed quickly. The new generation replaced the old. I really did not expect to see you here. All right, where do you live? I can visit you in the future. Gu Yi was quite happy, and his handsome face was also smiling. Well, go straight here. It's the small villa with the 8 cherry blossoms. Yes, yes. Gu Yi smiled. Then he saw Shiwan holding a dress bag in her hand. He couldn't help but ask, Where are you going? I'm going out. Gu Yi was embarrassed. Of course he knew she was going out. He thought about it and continued to ask, Do you need me to drive you? This was the suburbs of B City. Many plans had not been implemented. Large supermarkets, shopping malls, and shops had not settled down in this area. There were also few buses, not to mention taxis. Compared to the main city area, it was really quite desolate. Many people felt that it was inconvenient to live here and work back and forth. Therefore, even though the housing prices in this area were low, the occupancy rate was not high. He moved out from his home and bought a house here because he valued the parts that ordinary people thought were shortcomings. He was a director, and he could only stay at home for a few days a year. Living at home, however, his family was large and noisy, and his mother was also good at tightening the shackles. It was really annoying. Living in a few houses in the downtown area, if it wasn't the sound of cars, then it was the sound of Yanko dancing upstairs and downstairs. There was even the sound of square dancing. He couldn't fall asleep at all. It was better here. It was quiet. He could fall asleep with the sound of insects in his pillow at night. No need. A friend will come to pick me up. Gu Yi thought for a moment. Is it Zheng Nuo? Only this guy was always sticking to Shiwan's side. He was so annoying. Shiwan shook her head. Who is that? After Gu Yi asked this question, he saw a low-profile Mercedes-Benz coming in from the door. Then, the security guard asked a few questions and let it pass. In the end, the car stopped beside the two of them. The car window slowly rolled down, revealing a handsome and beautiful face. Then, he said 2 words like ice, get in the car. Shiwan smiled awkwardly at Gu Yi. I'm leaving. Finally, Gu Yi watched as the car turned into a black dot and disappeared from his sight. His mind was filled with thoughts. Who is that he was really good-looking? He was quite compatible with the male lead of his next movie. Just his face alone was enough to guarantee box office earnings. Then, Gu Yi just remembered, holy shit, he had such a love rival unknowingly. After getting into the car, she saw that the boss was still expressionless. Shiwan was embarrassed. Good morning, boss. She complained in her heart. It had been a while since they had traveled from the city to the suburbs, but she didn't expect him to come so soon. The boss nodded. His well-defined hand pointed at the small lunchbox at the side. Breakfast. Shiwan blinked and looked at the words high/day on it. It was so expensive that she couldn't help but say, I've already eaten. The boss turned his head. Oh, 2 sharp eyes looked at Shiwan, causing Shiwan to feel immense pressure. But since you can eat quite a lot, I'll allow you to eat a little more now. Shiwan was shocked. These words. She was already full. How could she still eat? Unable to withstand the invisible pressure, Shiwan opened the lunchbox. There were 3 layers. The first layer was a few exquisite and clear Xylong Bao. The second layer was pink yogurt with cherry blossom petals on it. It was exceptionally beautiful. The third layer was a bottle of fresh milk. The fresh milk from a high-day farms had been flown in from overseas. It was very fresh. Although she was full, Shiwan still could not help but bite into it when she saw these exquisite delicacies. The way she ate was very delicate. In less than 10 minutes, she had finished all of it. Shiwan tidied up the lunchbox and put it aside. When she turned her head, she saw that the boss had a faint smile on his face. He said, "Oh, it seems that I haven't bought enough." Shiwan's face instantly burned. Her skin was white, and her pretty face was as bright as the morning sun. She was exceptionally beautiful. At this moment, her heart almost collapsed. She had been ridiculed again. "But boss, isn't the annual party a dinner party? Why did you have to go out so early?" Shiwan, who had only just realized it, reacted. Li Jian let out an "Oh, you're so noisy." Shiwan, without realizing it, she once again arrived at the club that had been styled the last time. Boss stopped the car and said to her, "Wait a moment." Then he got out of the car himself. Shiwan was still baffled when she saw Boss open the car door for her. Shiwan was so stunned that her mind was filled with thoughts. Boss is the same as her, but he's actually a different person, right? At the styling club. This time, the two of them were already familiar with the place. Pete very naturally welcomed them out and winked at Li Jian. "Hey, what are you going to do this time?" "The annual meeting." Pete replied with an "Oh. Are we still choosing the gown this time?" Shiwan replied and handed the bag over. "I brought it myself. If you were to do your styling outside and bring your own gown, the stylist would have seen the style of the gown before deciding on your makeup and hairstyle." Pete took it and nodded. "It's pretty good, but you're even more beautiful, hee hee." For hours later, the radiant Shiwan appeared in Pete's eyes again. Pete couldn't help but give her a thumbs up. "Nice." Shiwan wore a long, lake blue dress with long, wavy hair. Her hair was dyed a flax color and was lazily draped over Shiwan's shoulders. Her collar was undulating, and under the light, it was as white as milk. It made her look like a criminal. Looking at the time, it was already 1 in the afternoon. Shiwan rubbed her stiff neck. "Fortunately, I ate a lot for breakfast." PFFD, Pete could not help but laugh out loud. He said to Li Jian, who was sitting upright, "Where did you find such a treasure?" Li Jian put down his phone and looked at Shiwan. Then, he casually replied to Pete, "It's okay." Pete laughed and said, "Kid, can't you admit that the beauty in front of you is so beautiful that she's out of the universe?" After that, he looked at Shiwan and could not help but say sourly, "If your family's genes continue to be like this, it's going to be heaven-defying." Li Jian did not care about Pete. He looked at Shiwan and said, "Follow me." Shiwan was about to say, "Pete, your brain is too big." But before she could say it, the boss coldly said, "Follow me." The car took many turns. Shiwan was a little confused. "Aren't we going to the Sky Shadow building?" The boss looked at Shiwan like he was looking at a stupid human. "Let's eat." Shiwan. Why was he looking at her like that? Just as Shiwan was cursing in her heart, she heard the boss say, "You're so beautiful beyond the universe. You should be stupid." Shiwan. Shiwan received 2,000 points of mental damage and flipped the table. "I'm still a student at a university." She could not tolerate the insult to her IQ, although she was not a student at a university in her previous life. Her high school results were also very good. She could still get into a university. It was a pity that in order to make a living, she got into the B film performance department. She had been a scholarship recipient for many years. Okay. So she's just like Li Yan. They're both pretty stupid. Shiwan. "Li Yan, do you know that your brother is talking about you behind your back?" Shiwan shut up after being repeatedly attacked by high-intensity mental attacks. She didn't want to bother with this venomous-tongued boss anymore. She took her phone, logged into her Weibo account, and posted, "At Madame Jiang, who wants to be a screenwriter. Your brother is calling you stupid behind your back." After her revenge, her mood was much better. Ever since Li Yin switched from Facebook to Weibo, she was practically a Weibo fanatic. As long as it wasn't work time, she would check Weibo. Usually, when Shiwan's Weibo account was even more, she would reply very quickly. Now, after waiting for a long time without seeing any reply from Li Yin, she started to check the popular Weibo. Some of the jokes made her laugh, so Shiwan liked it. Probably because it was near the new year, not to mention the entire entertainment circle. The entire atmosphere on Weibo was jubilant, especially when it came to snatching red packets. Everyone was flying everywhere, and everyone was involved. It was rare for fans to be so happy that they didn't fight. Some of the haters managed to snatch the bigger red packets, and even left a message. On account of your red packet, I won't attack you anymore. Shiwon thought about whether she should also send a red packet to her fans to make them happy. If she could pull one or two anti-fans along with her, she could pull one or two of them along so that she wouldn't be a burden and ruin her image. It would also be very annoying. After browsing for a while, Shiwon put down her phone and saw that she had arrived at a remote farmhouse. The decorations were quite exquisite. Outside, there was a wall made of exquisite bamboo, and roses were planted below. It was just that it wasn't the season for roses to bloom, so it was only green. There was also a plaque hanging at the door with the words, "Freehand Scenery." Yin Jinxing's handwriting was written by some famous writer. The road was paved with small pebbles, and there was a slowly flowing stream that went around the road. The 8-character bridge made of pure, what could be vaguely heard gurgling. Red, yellow, and white koi swam happily in the stream. There was a hexagonal pavilion next to the bridge with a stone table and 4 stone stools. Under the pavilion, there were 2 flower beds, and only the red plums bloomed beautifully. The winding path led to a secluded place. After passing the long corridor, a young man in a suit came out to welcome them. He saw Shiwon standing beside Li Zhan, who was still dressed up. He was stunned for a moment, then smiled. "You're here." "Yes." "This person." He looked at Shiwon jokingly. "Jiang Shiwon." That person smiled and reached out his hand. "Yin Tianling is also the owner of this shop." Shiwon reached out her hand and shook it back. "Hello. I also have another identity. He's a cousin of another generation." "Are you done shaking?" "Yin Tianling and 11 won." "I'm eating. I'm starving." The private room was a large room with an antique flavor. It had a simple redwood table set, and every stool was carved with a retro Chinese pattern. The screen was embroidered on both sides. On one side was a peony, and on the other side were mountains and rivers. It was beautiful and prosperous. The dishes were served on the table. There were 5 dishes and a soup. It was emerald green and bright red. There was also a black truffle stewed chicken that had been stewed for a long time. The color of the soup was thick, and it looked very delicious. Shiwon was hungry, but she kept repeating in her heart, "Eat less, eat less." The boss seemed to have seen through Shiwon. "Finish it." Shiwon. With this order, even though it was a little stressful, she was almost done eating as she ate. When Shiwon put down her chopsticks, she saw the boss looking at her mockingly again. It was happening again. She was already prepared to be laughed at by the boss. Li Zhan smiled. "Finished." Shiwon nodded. "Let's go." Shiwon. She really couldn't keep up with the boss's rhythm. Shiwon shrank back for a moment before she managed to reduce the pressure that the boss was giving off. "Are you afraid of me?" Li Zhan asked again. Shiwon turned her head and looked at the pair of eyes that were as black as the stars, in a trance. Sometimes she felt that the voice of the boss was really suitable to be a voice actress. It was as clear as water and full of enchantment. Seeing that she didn't say anything, the boss spoke again. "Yes." "No." How could she be afraid of this man who was actually 2 years younger than her? "Is it or not?" Li Zhan teased. "No." Shiwon's tone was firm. While they were talking, the two of them had already left the picturesque scene. The car was once again on the road. Sky Shadow Building. Probably because of the annual meeting, the entire building was decorated with a jubilant atmosphere. Even if it was 9 cold days outside, it could not stop people's hearts from burning. This year's annual meeting was held by the leaders of the various branches of Sky Shadow, the main backbone, as well as the employees of Sky Shadow headquarters, the higher-ups of Sky Shadow Media, as well as some business partners. Every year, in the month before the new year, the higher-ups of Sky Shadow would tire themselves to death. Every day, there would be gatherings, dinner tables, and social events. But this time, it was their company's annual meeting. No matter how tired they were, everyone was smiling. It was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There were already many people gathered in the lobby of Heavenly Shadow Building. They were in groups of 3 to 5, in groups of 4 to 6. They talked about work, their lives, and the interesting things around them. They also gossiped about who was who in the company. The moment Li Jian and Shi Yuan appeared in Heavenly Shadow Building, they instantly became the focus of everyone's attention. As they walked, they were stared at by people. Li Jian took Shi Yuan directly upstairs to the exclusive resting place of the higher-ups. When the two figures disappeared from everyone's sight, everyone started to discuss. That person just now, is he the son of the CEO? Although some of them had attended several annual meetings of Sky Shadow and met the CEO's son a few times, every time they would mumble a question. Yes, he came quite early this time. He's really handsome. Some of the people who attended the annual meeting of Sky Shadow for the first time couldn't help but sigh. Who is he? The CEO's son. Damn, he's actually tall, rich, and handsome. His looks are too heaven-defying. I thought he was some big star. The CEO is also handsome. I heard that the little boss has gathered the essence of his parents, which is why he gave birth so well. Yes. The little boss mother is a big movie queen. Oh, Zhang Yining. Until now, no one has broken her Grand Slam record. Jiang Shiwan can't even break it. So, I don't know who else can break it in the future. Right, when you mentioned Jiang Shiwan, I just remembered that the little boss had a super beauty with him just now. I think her name is Jiang Shiwan too, but the words are different. Tisk, TSK, are all people named Jiang Shiwan so good-looking? In the future, I want to marry someone with the surname Jiang and have a daughter named Jiang Shiwan. That's not the point. Didn't you notice that the little boss actually brought a female companion? The newcomer was puzzled. Didn't the little boss bring a female companion before? The little boss doesn't bring a female companion to any banquet. Even if he did, it would only be his sister, the little boss. It was really shocking that he actually brought a female companion this time. Oh my god, I was wondering why Jiang Shiwan hasn't even brought out a movie yet. She's already so popular on the internet, so she must be the little boss's person. These days, unspoken rules are indeed the best way to get to the top. It's hard to say. Jiang Shiwan's face is pretty. If I were in charge of entertainment media, I would also praise her. Do you think her face isn't red? Everyone shook their heads again. Her face is too heaven-defying. Sigh, this is indeed a world that depends on looks. I want to go to Korea for plastic surgery. Don't stop me. After that, someone asked, do you guys think little boss is keeping her as a mistress, or is it a serious relationship? It's hard to say. Little boss doesn't get close to women. It's even been rumored that she's gay. It's either a formal relationship, a mistress, or a rumor breaking the ice. As expected of the public relations department, they think a lot. I think it's true love. If the little boss isn't moved, then so be it. Once he's moved, he'll be domineering and handsome. I want to tell the world that I've taken over Jiang Shiwan. Right. The way they walked in just now was like walking on a red carpet. I noticed that the little boss's ice-cold face, which hasn't changed for thousands of years, was so gentle that it almost melted the ice outside. It seemed like he even nodded to some people and smiled. Everyone was chattering. The entire hall was bustling with noise. Almost everyone was discussing the relationship between Shi Yuan and Li Jian. The intensity was comparable to that of Weibo. It was as if a scandalous couple who had been constantly hyping up their relationship had finally admitted to it after denying it for the 20th time. Li Jian brought Shi Yuan to the lounge. It was actually his office in Sky Shadow. He loosened his tie and took off his suit to put it on the table at the side. Then he sat down and said to Shi Yuan, who he thought was quite silly, "Let's go over later. You can play with your phone for a while." As he said that, he turned on his computer and started working. Shi Yuan's heart was filled with 100,000 F*** curses. As expected of the famous workaholic in the industry, you're working all the time during the annual party. Do you need money? Shi Yuan had no choice but to sit at the side and take out her phone. The moment she lowered her head, she looked at the white-shirt boss. He was as handsome as a teenager. Under the light, the side of his face seemed to be covered in a layer of soft light. It was clean and beautiful. It was too beautiful. Xiwan had seen so many handsome men and beautiful women in the entertainment industry, but he gave her a sense of tranquility and distance. He gave her a clean feeling, like a god who had just entered the mortal world. She took out her phone and took this photo. It was probably the most beautiful photo she had ever seen. The side profile of her face was picturesque, the lines were smooth, and the hair on her forehead was messy. It was warm under the light. It was no longer as cold as before, but more gentle. After taking this photo, Xiwan realized that she was actually infatuated with a guy 2 years younger than her. That was enough no matter what. He was already so old, but he was still infatuated. It was really a shame to play, but this photo in front of her was really good looking. It would be a pity to delete it. It was better to keep it. No matter what, this photo could be considered a strong rebuttal to her photography skills that had been ridiculed by others. Xiwan went on Weibo and entered her alternate account first. She saw Li Yan's comments appear in the comments just now. Madam Jiang, who wants to be a screenwriter. Flip the table. You're slandering me again. Okay, come out, I want to duel with you. No, I want to tell mom and dad. Sunset Not Too Late replied to Madam Jiang, who wants to be a screenwriter. Haha. Madam Jiang, who wants to be a screenwriter, replied to Sunset Not Too Late. I'm at the company. Where are you now? Sunset Not Too Late replied to Madam Jiang, who wants to be a screenwriter. Your brother's office. He's working again. Madam Jiang, who wants to be a screenwriter, replied to Sunset Not Too Late. In less than 10 minutes, the bright and beautiful Li Yin in a red and white floral dress appeared in Xiwan's line of sight. Behind her was Jiang Yi, whom she hadn't seen for a long time. Jiang Yi didn't expect to see Xiwan here. He was very surprised. Xiwan, you are here too. Li Yin lifted her chin and said, Xiwan is my brother's female companion. What she implied was that Xiwan was already my brother's woman. Don't try anything, you are mine. Jiang Yi frowned. He knew Brother Zhan. He never brought a female companion to the annual party. There was also Li Yin, whom he had abandoned. He just didn't expect that this time he would bring the goddess that he had admired for nearly 4 years, Jiang Xiwan. Was Brother Zhan serious? He didn't want to think too much about it. If it was someone else, he would definitely have the ability to compete. After all, he was a male god. Regardless of whether it was his looks, talent, or ability, he was top-notch. Not to mention his family background. In the words of those suitors, he, Jiang Yi, was a perfect existence. But in this world, there was someone who was more outstanding than him. There was also someone whom he was familiar with, Brother Zhan. Thinking of Xiwan and Brother Zhan had become a pair, his eyes some dim. Their relationship, before they did not open up, he would not be silly to ask out. Let himself not even a little miss. Xiwan was a little speechless towards Jiang Yi. Since he had already agreed to be Li Yan's male companion, he had to do his male companion's job properly. What kind of drama was it that he would perform Deep Love and Misty Rain in front of her? Not to mention that she will not love now. Even if love again, will not choose such a young boy, and moreover, Li Yan had been chasing him for so long. If she really wanted to reject him, she shouldn't have given her any hope. Any compromise he made was like a knife to Li Yan. The gentleness now would be a deadly poison in the future. He shouldn't have accompanied Li Yan to this annual gathering, no matter the reason. When Li Yan saw that Jiang Yi was distracted, she felt all sorts of bitterness in her heart. She could tell that Xiwan didn't have any feelings for Jiang Yi, but his heart was focused on Xiwan, and he couldn't pull it back. She had been chasing after him for more than 10 years, but he wasn't willing to look back and only focused on chasing after what he couldn't get. This kind of persistence made her love and hate him at the same time. But wasn't she also another him? She trampled on her self-esteem again and again, holding her heart in front of him, just hoping for him to look back. The two of them were equally persistent in chasing after what she couldn't get, tirelessly. Sometimes she pitted him, and sometimes she pitted herself. At the most painful moment, she thought of giving up, but she always told herself that an iron pestle could be ground into a needle, and perseverance would eventually lead to victory. Moreover, she was still young and had a long time ahead of her. She could still continue to chase after him. But in the blink of an eye, she was 21 years old. Years of youth had passed, and he was still running in front of her. She tried her best to chase after him, but no matter how hard she tried, she could not catch up. The distance between the two of them was even getting farther and farther. She watched him fall in love with someone else, watched him become impatient with her, watched him reject her time and time again, watched her go from being a little princess held by her family to a university's joke. She was always unwilling to give up. If she continued, she could not see any hope. Leon bit her lip. She won. Do you want to go out and play for a while? Otherwise, it would be too boring to be alone. Shiwan shook her head. No, you guys go ahead. I used to be very strange. She was dressed up, but her male partner was busy with his work. Furthermore, they were all unfamiliar people, and she was an artiste. When she thought about how she was surrounded and how someone took out their cell phone to take pictures of her, she felt terrible. Leah nodded and looked at Jiang-yi. Let's go. Let's go out and dance. Jiang-yi looked at Shiwan and saw that she had already lowered her head to play with her cell phone. He couldn't help but say, I'm not going. I'm too tired. So you want to stay here? Lian stared at Jiang-yi. Jiang-yi had just nodded, but before he could say yes, he heard Li Zhan order them to leave. It's very noisy. Everyone who knew him knew that he was asking the two of them to leave quickly. Thus, Jiang-yi had no choice but to walk out awkwardly, while Li Yin immediately followed after him. Shiwan couldn't help but sigh when she saw Li Yin like this. She then looked in Li Zhan's direction and saw that his gaze was on her. Shiwan touched her face and blinked her eyes in confusion. There's nothing. If I touch any more, your makeup will be ruined, Li Zhan said leisurely. Shiwan, what the hell? When Li Zhan saw 11 Wan's face change color in a second, he was a little happy and said, I'll be done in a second. It's okay, boss. You continue to work. It was pretty good over here. It was quiet, and no gossip could be heard. Oh, do you want to eat something? Shiwan, I really don't eat very much. How did she make him hallucinate? She kept thinking that she could eat besides. As the CEO of an entertainment company, didn't he know that it was very important for an artiste to maintain their figure? She was still his artiste. If she ruined her image, who would make money for him? Li Zhan looked at Shiwan for a long time, and it made 11 Wan's hair stand on end. He then said, You're not blushing even after saying that. Shiwan, I'm really angry. She took out her phone and sat with her back facing Li Zhan. Then, she started to play a little game. She had a lot of anger in her heart. After playing 2 games, she quickly played the game over, and her character was completely gone. Well, even a clay figurine had some anger. No one could be attacked by a person's vicious tongue repeatedly. But he was her boss. She couldn't do anything to him. She was in a daze while he worked. The clock on the wall was spinning in circles every second. The sound of dee-dee-da-da was incessant, and the entire room was silent. It was as if the years had gone by peacefully. Shiwan was in a daze. Suddenly, she felt a heat in her hand. When she came back to her senses, she saw that the boss was holding her hand. The big hand was holding the small hand. She was surprised. He looked calm. He went out. Shiwan seemed to have been electrocuted. She was thrown out in an instant, and then she used too much strength. She lost her balance and fell backward. He helped her up. Shiwan, who was wearing high heels, was swaying in the boss' arms for some reason. She was so embarrassed that her face was red. She steadied herself and looked up to see boss's teasing face. His eyes were full of mockery. I knew you were going to seduce me. Shiwan said, I'm really going to F***CK you again. Boss smiled slightly and then stretched out his wrist. Shiwan looked at it and continued to bear the pressure, holding his elbow. Boss turned his head and whispered, Aren't you not afraid? The warm breath blew in her ear. Shiwan shivered for no reason and laughed dryly. How could it be? He. At this moment, Shiwan's mind was only filled with. Boss's he is indeed this kind of tone. His voice was clear and cold, and the volume was neither too high nor too low. It was simply ridiculing to the max. After leaving the office, they once again returned to the banquet hall on the second floor. At this moment, there was already a sea of people. As the young master of Sky Shadow, Li Zhan naturally brought Shiwan to continuously greet the various elites. Many people were surprised that a great beauty had appeared beside Li Zhan, who did not have a female companion in the past. especially this great beauty. It seemed to be the famous newcomer on Weibo, Jiang Xuan. It was quite intriguing. Xuan followed behind Li Zhan and smiled faintly at everyone. Then, she greeted them one by one. This feeling, why did it feel more and more strange? It wasn't that she had never attended such a grand banquet, nor had she never been the center of attention. However, for some reason, only the gazes here made people feel uneasy. Their eyes were full of inquiry and gossip about her. This was because the male companion beside her was him, Li Zhan. Just as Xuan's smile became more and more stiff, she felt a heat at her waist. She lowered her head and saw that his hand was placed on top of her, but the heat from his palms still seeped through the thin gown. She looked up and saw that Li Zhan's eyes were filled with warmth. She couldn't help but ask in a low voice, "Why are you looking at me like that?" "You look pretty," he said in a serious tone. Xuan's face was as bright as the morning sun again. The crowd that was originally watching the two of them felt that their surroundings were filled with pink bubbles, blinding their titanium alloy bull eyes. Many people were even shocked. "Oh my God, is that really Li Zhan?" Xuan really wanted to retort, "Are you crazy?" But she didn't dare. She could only turn her head away and no longer answer. Then, she saw many people looking at the two of them as if they were aliens. She was extremely embarrassed. She sighed. She didn't know what had gotten into Li Zhan. After a round of small talk, Xuan actually broke out in a sweat. This was even more tiring than shooting 10 scenes in a row. After that, the boss's father, Sky Shadow's chief boss, Li Yue, stood in front of the stage. He was dressed neatly in a suit and looked valiant. It didn't look like he was over 50 years old at all. He held the speech script and began to read out the year-end closing speech, as well as to recognize outstanding leaders and employees. The climax was nothing more than a lucky draw. Sky Shadow's first prize this time was a villa worth 5 million yuan. The second prize was 5, and it was 2 BMW 5 Series cars. The third prize was 100,000 yuan per person, and the fourth prize was 50. It was the latest fruit machine. The fifth prize was 100, and the latest fruit pad was followed by a consolation prize and a big red packet. Then, a few staff members took their number plates and sent them one by one. A cute girl shyly walked to Xuan and Li Zhan's side and handed them 2 number plates. She timidly asked Xuan, "Can I take a picture with you? I like you very much. I'm your die-hard fan." Xuan, "Yes, you can." In an instant, the cute girl was full of vitality. She gestured, took out her phone, picked a good selfie angle, and took a few selfies. In the end, under the cold eyes of the little boss, she reluctantly took back her phone and said, "Wan, you and the little boss are really a good match. Sweet and sweet. I'll always support you." After saying that, she ran away. "Xuan, I really thank you for putting me together with cold and aloof. Come here." Although it was noisy around him and he was surrounded by beautiful clothes, his voice was always clear. At this moment, his eyes were as bright as the stars under the light. There was a warm smile on his face that could melt all the ice in the world. She didn't dare to look into his eyes. She pursed her lips, carefully lifted her dress, and slowly walked over. When she was close to him, he still held her waist very naturally. Ignoring the shocked gazes of the people around him, he handed the 2 cards in his hands to Xuan and said seriously, "Take them." Xuan blinked. She was an artist and he was her boss. If she really won the lottery, she would be too embarrassed to take it. He added, "Give my luck to you." Xuan felt that she had been hit in the bull's eye. She looked sideways and her voice was as soft as a mosquito. "Thank you, boss." Then she felt that she was too unimposing and said, "What if you didn't win the lottery? Isn't there a consolation red packet?" The boss's voice was lazy again. "Besides, my luck shouldn't be that bad." Meanwhile, Xuan, who was at the center of the storm, was still quietly filming. After all, she had taken 2 days off, so she had to make up for her own scenes. When she went back at night, Xuan came out of the shower and saw Hemin crying. "Xuan, I've let you down." Xuan frowned. "What's wrong with you now?" Hemin handed the phone to 11 in fear. "That Han Zi, it must be her, it must be her." She wondered why there was no news yesterday. So it was to not block the headlines of her coming to Hangzhou. This woman was too evil. Shiwan didn't offend her. Shiwan took it over and looked at the 24-hour trending Weibo. The headlines were mostly about her. The number one was that gossip entertainment. The number two was that unknown paparazzi. The number four was the summary of news about her from Gozai Entertainment. And the number 10 was 1 week's news. For a moment, Shiwan hugged a thigh and climbed to the top, selling her looks, bad temper, bad character, and other labels were all posted. The netizens did not know the inside story and thought that they were righteous heroes. They started typing furiously and cursing crazily. B*TCH, get out of the entertainment industry. Too slutty. Puke. It's too disgusting, Godshao. Don't be deceived by her pure face. An artist who hasn't even released a work yet, and she's playing the female lead of Records of the Geisha of the Tang Dynasty and the female lead of Askance. Doge, I'll pretend that I don't understand. Vixen, don't mess with our god. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. The entertainment industry can be famous. Hee hee, just think about it, and you'll know what's going on. I wonder what it's like to have sex with her. TSK, she's so beautiful. When she does it, her expression will definitely make people go crazy. She'll laugh evilly. All in all, the dirty words below were unbearable to look at. Shiwan rubbed the space between her eyebrows. The Tang Dynasty hadn't even slapped their faces yet, and in the blink of an eye, she was going to become a hot topic and be discredited. Moreover, this romance of the heaven was even more popular than the Tang Dynasty. 2 days ago, because Xiao Yinzheng was a fan of hers, she had already been completely flamed by her fans. Now she was fine. When she heard someone say that this was a book that Xiao Yinzheng had specially prepared in order to chase after Jiang Xuan, her fans' attitude could be imagined. Nowadays, the netizens treated the news of the entertainment industry, especially the negative news, with the attitude of not making any noise and not biting the seamless eggs. Even if it was fake, they would believe it to be true. Even if the celebrities released a notice to clarify, they would also think that the celebrities were fooling the public again. In short, they would pretend to understand the entertainment industry. He-Min felt even more guilty and cried profusely. I will definitely not have a big mouth in the future. She thought that in such a remote corner, the two of them were just talking, but she did not expect. At this moment, Lisa, who was far away in B City, also had a headache. In just a few days, something happened to her artist again. She didn't know who it was that had such a big mouth, but they actually bribed the marketing account to expose the news. Sister Lisa, what should we do? The netizens are all very radical right now. We've already bribed the internet trolls to say nice things about Jiang Xuan, but it's not going to work. Let's continue. Lisa sighed. Let's wait another day and see. If the netizens are still so radical tomorrow, we'll expose the news that Zhang Zi is in love with the veteran singer Jiang Hai. Okay, she had to divert her attention. If she could protect her own artiste, it was inevitable that she had to sacrifice others. Shiwan scrolled through Weibo with her alternate account. When she saw the netizens pouring dirty water on her, she couldn't help but sigh. It was obviously a lie to say that she didn't mind. But thinking about it, which artiste wouldn't be tarnished the more tarnished they were now, the more popular they would be when they fought their way back with their works. She still quite admired a junior artiste. Previously, she had been tarnished to the point that her body was completely disfigured. Even her body odor had been used to tease and ridicule her. In the end, she used self-mockery to successfully get rid of the netizens' prejudice against her. In private, she had told her industry insiders that as long as they could not kill her, she would appear even more powerful. Thinking of this, her mind had become much more open. She posted a Weibo post. Sunset not too late. The drizzle that lasted for a week had finally stopped. All that could be seen was the dazzling starlight. This was also her state of mind. Even if there were countless dirty waters now, there would come a day when it would stop. She would still be the same dazzling Jiang Xuan. Ding dong. Madam Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. Your state of mind is really good. You're still scrolling through Weibo, even though you're like this. Sunset not too late replied to Madam Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. Smiling has always been good. Ding dong. Xingji, her. Shiwon was so scared that she dropped her phone on the bed. Was this a message from boss? Also, what did her mean? Should she reply? Should she reply? But when she thought about the incident with Li Yin in B City, hence, Shiwon sent Li Yin a private message. Sunset not too late. That day. What happened after that? Madame Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. What are you talking about that day? Sunset not too late. It was the day that we ruined your brother's blind date banquet. What happened after that? You haven't told me what happened after that. Also, is your brother angry? Was the blind date banquet really ruined by us? I think that woman. Even after the two of us left, she still sat firmly in her seat. Madame Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. Holy shit, you can actually say such a long sentence. Take a screenshot as a memento. When Shiwon saw this paragraph, she was in a bad mood. This fellow, Li Yin, is simply too much. Is this the focus of attention now? Shiwon took a deep breath, drank the boiled water on the bedside table, and typed rapidly on her phone with her fingers. Sunset not too late. Hurry up and tell me. Madame Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. If you say that I'm prettier than you, I'll tell you. Sunset not too late. Hee hee. Is there any point in lying to yourself? Madame Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. See you when you're in debt. Madame Jiang, who wanted to be a screenwriter. Don't think that I'll tell you. If you have the ability, you can ask my brother. Shiwon. Shiwon decided not to care about this crazy person anymore. She touched her chin and looked at the annoying word Xingji. Hee hee. She sighed and opened the private message. Shiwon. Boss, are you there? Xingji. Hee hee. Shiwon. Fall hee hee again. However, the official level was too much for her. She had no choice but to cover her little heart and continue typing carefully. Shiwon. That boss, that day. Finger. I'm sorry. Xingji, what? Seeing her again, she seemed to be frightened by herself. Panic flashed in her eyes, but she was still calm and composed. She seemed to be silent. Li Jian retracted his gaze and heard the call of the host again. He only nodded and then, under the watchful eyes of the audience, he left the stage without saying anything. The people below the stage were so excited that they could not control themselves. Some of the newbies who had never seen Li Jian were even more shocked. They held their faces and exclaimed, "So cool." They imitated the voice of the cute baby on TV. So cool. When he came down, the crowd made way for him. Through the crowd, he looked at her and smiled slightly. Shiwon was still feeling ashamed for him, but when she saw his eyes, they were clear and bright. They were filled with gentleness, like water flowing into her limbs and bones. He quickly returned to her side and stuffed the fruit IPAD into her arms. Take it. Shiwon rubbed her nose. Okay. When she came back to her senses, she had won a BMW from the 5th class lottery. Shiwon said softly, I can have this. You're quite soft-spoken. I thought you wanted that apartment. Shiwon blinked. Can I? It depends on your luck. Shiwon was not willing to give up. Is there really no shady business? Li Jian was expressionless. I beg for shady business. She held up the number 168. What a good number. What a lucky number. The people on both sides who had been listening to their conversation could not help but laugh. The two of them turned their heads to look at the person who laughed. That person only shook his head and waved his hand. I don't have any other intentions. I just think that you two are a good match. Yes, a good match. After saying that, the person quietly moved away from them. As expected, eavesdropping on the conversation between the boss and his girlfriend put a lot of pressure on him. However, the boss didn't get angry and even smiled at him. The last spot for the BMW. Roll up, roll up. Wow, it's actually 168. Congratulations. It's been posted all the way. What a good number. It's really auspicious. 168. Shiwon was dumbfounded. The real me? Then, she looked at Li Jian. Me? Li Jian turned his head. He didn't want to see such a stupid woman. Shiwon whispered, There's really no shady business? No, with Heavenly Shadow's wealth. Why would they be reluctant to part with a car that costs more than 500,000 yuan? When Shiwon stupidly took the car keys out, she felt dizzy. Then, when she saw Li Jian waiting for her, she couldn't help but say, My luck is really good. Li Jian smiled. Okay. My luck will be good in the future too. Career, revenge, everything would be smooth sailing. Okay, he didn't say it in his heart. Because you have me in the future, you will definitely be lucky. After a banquet, Shiwan wore high heels and stood all over the place. She actually did not feel tired at all. After Li Jian sent her home, he unbuckled her seatbelt, got out of the car, and opened the car door for her. Shiwan looked at Li Jian, who had been acting strange all day, and her heart was in a mess. Why did Big Boss suddenly change 180 degrees and treat her so well? She was flattered. Like her? Impossible. She still remembered what he said. If you're not happy, I'm happy. She was under so much pressure to be happy with him. After a long while, Shiwan mustered up her courage and said, Boss, are you trying to seduce me? She finally said the question that had been bothering her all day. She was so nervous that her palms were wet. Li Jian thought about it and said through the stars, I'm just fulfilling your wish. You want to seduce my wish. He suddenly leaned over and kissed her lips, just like how she had kissed him back then. Cold and warm, warm and intoxicating. Shiwan was really scared out of her wits. She stood motionlessly on the spot. It was dark and quiet all around. Only the sound of each other's breathing could be heard. The sound of their heartbeats rose and fell, as if they were about to burst out of their chests. Their lips touched, and their lips parted. It was only for a moment. Shiwan pursed her lips. After a long while, she found her voice and explained again, I didn't. The Big Boss Peach Blossom eyes were watery. He patted Shiwan's head and said, Jiang Shiwan, don't play dumb. Shiwan was enraged when she heard this. She shook off Boss' hand that was on her forehead. Don't touch me. This strange feeling of not being under her control was too terrible. She didn't look at Li Jian's expression anymore. She rushed back to her small villa, as if there were thousands of wild wolves chasing after her. The sound of high heels, the sound of the wind blowing in her ears, and the sound of her heart beating wildly like a piano. Even when she returned to her own room, she still couldn't calm down. In the bathroom, she finished removing her makeup and looked at her beautiful face in a trance. Wan, come over quickly and drink some chicken soup. Her mother called out to her from outside the door, interrupting her trance. The next day, it was dawn and 11 got up. She tossed and turned last night and recalled the time she spent with her boss. In her impression, the two of them did not have much interaction, but when she really thought about it, there were already so many of them. Shiwan scratched her hair in frustration and got up to wash up. After she was done, she sat in front of the dressing table and shockingly found the agreement. The content of the agreement was that she was going to seduce Li Jian to prove his sexual orientation. However, she had not even started yet, and it seemed to prove. Shiwan supported her chin and did not know how to bring it up to Li Yan. She stuffed the agreement into the drawer and left. Today was the annual meeting of Sky Shadow Media. This time, most of the guests were Sky Shadow's artists. Although it was smaller than yesterday's, the liveliness was definitely not comparable to the head office. However, Shiwan did not want to attend the annual meeting at all. She was afraid of facing Li Jian. However, as an artist of Heavenly Shadow, a newcomer, she had no choice but to go. This feeling of not being able to escape was too terrible. In the end, she was still too weak. Shiwan drank a bowl of porridge at home, ate a boiled egg white, and then took a walk in the courtyard. Shiwan. Shiwan looked up and saw Gu Yi carrying a large bag of fruits to her house. Shiwan. Gu Yi walked over. You're really at home. What are you doing? You're walking in circles. I've been looking at you for a long time, but you didn't notice me. Shiwan blinked. Training. Gu Yi. Wan, who is this? Mother Jiang, who had just bought some vegetables, looked at Gu Yi in confusion. When she saw Gu Ye's dignified appearance, her eyes lit up. Wan. Shiwan was speechless when she saw her mother's expression. This is Gu Yi, our neighbor. Mother Jiang was a little disappointed. Oh, so it's our neighbor. She thought that it was Wan who brought her boyfriend back to make her happy. Although she was in the entertainment industry now, it was still every mother's hope that her child could find a home. Auntie, my name is Gu Yi, and I'm also the director of Shiwan's movie. Gu Yi bowed with a humble and courteous attitude. Jiang was a little surprised. Director? Aya, You're really amazing. You can direct a movie at such a young age." This was a young man with extraordinary abilities. She couldn't help but want to ask if he was single. But when she saw the helpless expression on her daughter's face, she stopped asking. His baby was born so well. A good son-in-law would eventually come to visit him. Mother Jiang changed her words. "It's cold outside. Let's go inside." "No." "Okay, Ani." Guiye's ability to climb up the pole had been trained since he was young. It seemed that Ani liked him very much. Otherwise, why would she invite him in so quickly? The narcissistic Guiye had completely forgotten about the Chinese customs. Warm and simple. Even if it was a stranger, he would bring a bowl of tea. At this moment, Guiye's mind was filled with TSK. Looks like the internet said that if you want to get a partner, you have to get a partner's mother first. In the future, you must come and visit more often. After entering the house, they all had the same blue style. It was very refreshing and pleasing to the eye. Guiye felt much more comfortable. He put the fruit on the coffee table on the sofa and sat down. Mother Jiang put the vegetables she had bought into the kitchen. Wan, did you eat lunch at home?" Shiwan thought of this question and her head hurt. I don't know. Because she was avoiding it, she still couldn't be bothered to go to the styling club. Guiye was puzzled. "You still want to go out?" "The annual meeting. Didn't you attend it yesterday?" "The company's boss is crazy. He's holding 2 meetings. Bigly, I'm not talking about your boss, but your son." Shiwan added silently in her heart. Guiye laughed. "If I remember correctly, your boss's name is Li Zhan. He's quite famous in the industry." Shiwan replied with an "oh." She cursed in her heart. It was because he was famous for being serious. "Why don't I be your male companion today? I also want to see what your boss looks like." Guiye blinked. "I'm so curious." Shiwan turned her head. Guiye seemed to have noticed Shiwan's confusion, so he explained because he rarely attends the Chamber of Commerce. Most of the time, it's his father who makes the decisions. But I heard from my brother that he's the one who makes the decisions for his family. His photos haven't been posted on the internet, and some of them have been deleted. But I've heard that he's quite good-looking. Yes, there should be someone who will take photos of him at his company's annual meeting. But as a man, I can't chase after people and ask them to show me Li Zhan's photos. Otherwise, what would I become? Shiwan. Guiye smiled again. "So, Shiwan, I'll be your male companion. You've met him." "When?" "Yesterday at the Mercedes." Guiye. A gentleman's face slowly surfaced in front of Guiye's eyes. He had a fair complexion and peach blossom eyes, but his gaze was distant and cold. His crimson lips were lightly pursed, and he carried an air of nobility. He was like a spoiled prince. His heart was filled with wild howls. Holy sh*T. That guy is his love rival? Guiye felt his eyes go black. Shiwan drooped her head and naturally did not see any expression on Guiye's face. At this moment, she was full of annoyance. They were going to meet again. They were going to meet again. Buzz, buzz. The phone vibrated at an inappropriate time. The cold and aloof boss jumped on the screen. Shiwan pursed her lips and pressed the hang-up button. "Your boss hung up too?" Guiye asked foolishly. Then he remembered, wasn't that guy Li Zhan as expected when one heard of a love rival? One's IQ was not online anymore. Shiwan face-bombed, got up, took her phone, and dialed back. A cold voice soon sounded. "Hang up on me?"